It's Week 11, the NFL on CBS. We come to you today from Kansas City, Missouri. The Chiefs hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. And today's game is brought to you in stunning Sony high definition. We'll have the opening kickoff when we come back. Arrowhead Stadium, 75,000 expected for Steelers and Chiefs next. Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 6-3, one game behind Cincinnati in the AFC North, but in essence, 2 games behind the Bengals after getting swept by Cincinnati last week. And Todd Haley, in his first year as the head coach of the Chiefs, the 11th head coach in Chiefs history, trying to win back-to-back games for the first time as a head man. Kansas City has won the toss. Jeff Reed will kick it off for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jamal Charles and Terrence Copper back deep for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 2-7, a 16-10 victory in Oakland last week. Chiefs are 0-4 at home. And we're underway from Arrowhead. Reed on the kickoff to Jamal Charles. Fields at the 3. Charles moving to the other side of the field. Able to cross the 30-yard line and stays on his feet. There goes Charles. It's a foot race. Somehow emerged, and Charles is gone. Touchdown, Kansas City. For the 8th straight game, the Pittsburgh Steelers have allowed a return touchdown. Incredible.
You know, it's amazing how you think about all the changes to the coverage units this week. They were not at all happy with the lack of production in that particular phase of special teams. They've made some changes this week, and yet on the opening kickoff, they give up the big return.
The Kansas City Chiefs, right out of the gate, put points on the board. 97 yards for Charles.
Well, you learn in the National Football League that every snap is the most important play of the game in the kicking game because every snap is either field position or points. You just look at this Charles, he never gives up. The coverage is not where it needs to be, and that's not how you want to start a football game. I mean, this is something that Mike Tomlin told us last night. He said, we're not going to put a Band-Aid on this thing. We're going to make some changes. We're going to get it straightened out. They spent a lot of time this week in this particular phase of the game, but you look right there, people out of position, people not in their lanes, and Jamal Charles takes it to the house.
Yeah, Tomlin, we asked him flat out about the special teams, and he said, I know there's been a lot of talk. I should put James Harrison out there, put some of the bigger names, but as you said, Rich, Tomlin said it's all about solutions, not about finding a Band-Aid for 1 week or another week. Obviously, there are some major issues right now on special teams for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bob Lukaszewski, this is not the way he envisioned his day starting here in Kansas City.
And you know, it's interesting, you and I talked before we came on the air about what did Kansas City have to do today to give themselves a chance to win this football game. I said they had to score on defense or in the kicking game. They've already started out by scoring on a return.
You have to go back to October of 2005, the last time a Chief had a kick return for a touchdown. Dante Hall went 96 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. Jamal Charles getting things started with a bang. Ryan Suckup will kick it off. Stephon Logan is the deep man for the Steelers. 7-0, 16 seconds in.
You know, it's amazing. They released Arnold Harrison this week. They waived him, a backup linebacker, a special teams player. They brought up Donovan Woods off the practice squad to try and generate some more production in their coverage units. They start out the game. Unbelievable return by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Last week they got burned against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bernard Scott went 96 yards on a kick return for a touchdown. Logan, the return man for the Steelers, slowed down at the 20. And Logan stays on his feet, diving out near the 35-yard line for a 31-yard return. Now, this is a recurring theme now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 6, it was the dangerous Josh Cribbs, 98 yards. Week 7, Percy Harvin for Minnesota, 88 yards. And last week, as mentioned, Bernard Scott taking it the distance for the Bengals in an 18-12 victory for Cincinnati.
And you have a lot of young players playing in the kicking game. They need to understand, we talked earlier about every snap is the most important because it's either field position or points. That turned out to be points for the Steelers.
Double tight end set to open up with Miller and Spate. On a 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line for Pittsburgh. Rashad Mendenhall trying to bulldoze his way, picks up 2.5 yards for the Steelers. First possession of the day for them. Ben Roethlisberger, 26th consecutive start. That's impressive considering how many hits he takes over the course of a season. Roethlisberger, in his career now, 55-22 as a starter. Mendenhall in the backfield. Holmes and Ward, the receivers, on a 2nd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Already in a 7-0 hole against the Chiefs. Give it to Mendenhall. Bouncing it to the outside. Mendenhall flagged down. Try to spin move. And a 3-yard gain for the second-year running back out of Illinois.
Holding, number 86, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Carl Cheffers, our referee. Hines Ward is called on the hold for Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at this Pittsburgh starting offense. Max Starks draws the assignment to protect Ben Roethlisberger's blind side. Got that franchise tag, a 1-year, $8.5 million contract. Backs and receivers, no Kerry Davis today. Davis is out with a hamstring injury, normally the starting fullback. So you'll see David Johnson, a 3rd-string tight end, in that spot if necessary. But a lot of 2 tight end formations with Miller and Spate. Look out for Mike Wallace today as well as the 3rd receiver. He's a speedster out of Mississippi. On a 2nd and 18 after the hold call on Ward. Motion man is Wallace, and they hand it off to Wallace. Trying to turn the corner, he runs into a wall, led by John McGraw and company for Kansas City. 5-yard gain. Defensively, the Kansas City Chiefs. That 3-4 set, they are not generating a whole lot of pressure. Tyson Jackson does not have a sack out of LSU, the number 3 pick overall. Linebackers, Vrabel out, Studebaker is in. And in the secondary, Mike Brown had 2 picks last week in the win over Oakland. He won AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors. On a 3rd and 13, Lawelde Moore, the 3rd down back, is checked in. Travis Daniels is in as a nickel for Kansas City. From the gun, Roethlisberger pumping and fires. Almost picked off. Daniels had it on his fingertips.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's an example there of Ben Roethlisberger passing up his tight end right there, Heath Miller, and trying to pump and force one in on the outside, and he never really feels Travis Daniels. I mean, he's got a chance here for the tight end, but he's getting greedy, trying to get that 1st down in that situation. You got to be smart here. You got to see out in front of throws.
Daniel Sepulveda on the punt it. He's bounced back from that torn ACL injury from last year. Bobby Wade, the return man, and he gets buried. Ryan Mundy getting down the field on special teams. A 43-yard punt, no return. We'll see Matt Castle in the Kansas City offense for the first time today. Chiefs lead at 7-0. Kansas City Chiefs on offense. They come in ranked 30th in the NFL in total offense, 266 yards per game. Castle on a dump off from Mike Cox, who turns it upfield. And Cox with a big gainer on 1st down, hit by James Farrier. 19 yards on the catch and run for the fullback. Matt Castle, now 12-11 as a starter with the New England Patriots and now the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been sacked more than any quarterback in the AFC this season, 29 sacks. Number 2 in that department is Ben Roethlisberger. On a 1st down from the 47 for Kansas City. The pitch for Charles. And Charles has nowhere to go. Nick Eason ranges over to make the play. Maybe a gain of a half a yard on the play. Take a look at the Kansas City offense. Across that line, one change. Andy Ullman forced to sit this one out with a knee injury at right guard. So Wade Smith steps in for him. Backs and receivers. Chris Chambers for Dwayne Bowe, who was out for 4 games after being suspended by the National Football League. Jamal Charles was the intended receiver. It's incomplete. Defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that 3-4 set. Nick Eason stepping in for the injured Travis Kershke, missing his 3rd straight game. James Farrier leads the Steelers in tackles, and no Troy Polamalu. Tyrone Carter in for him. Castle on an out route, can't find Wade. It's incomplete. And William Gay over there defensively.
Well, the Chiefs have not started games very good on offense. I mean, they haven't scored a first quarter touchdown all season, just 12 points in the first quarter this year. And to make matters worse, Pittsburgh has allowed an NFL low 15 points in the first quarter this season. So it's going to be imperative that the Chiefs get off to a good start here today offensively.
Chiefs have not won back-to-back games since October of 2007. Llewellyn Moore back there. And this will take a Kansas City bounce for Dustin Colquitt. You can't do it any better. Leggett gets down the field after the 50-yard punt, and the Steelers are pinned deep in their own territory. Kansas City with a 7-0 lead over the defending Super Bowl champs. Pittsburgh Steelers have won 8 of their last 10 road games. They were held to only 80 yards rushing last week in that loss to Cincinnati. But defensively, which they did the job, they held Cincinnati to only 218 yards of offense. The problem? Special teams. And that's been the problem so far today, allowing Kansas City a touchdown on the opening kick return. Miller and Johnson are in for Pittsburgh at tight end. Mendenhall getting the call. And Glenn Dorsey, first man there. Gain of 3 on forward progress. Let's check out Gannon's MVP points for the Steelers and the Chiefs today.
Well, another problem the Steelers had last week. They really struggled to find their rhythm last week as they failed to score an offensive touchdown. They need to get back to their physical style of play by dominating the line of scrimmage. For Kansas City, this defensive front seven, they have their work cut out today. They have to slow down Rashard Mendenhall in the running game and get pressure on Ben Roethlisberger.
On a 2nd and 7 for the Steelers. Mendenhall by himself in the backfield. And a 3-receiver set for Roethlisberger. Keep it on the ground. Big hole. Mendenhall shoots the gap, and he's got a first down. Trey Essex up front among those blocking for Mendenhall. It's a 12-yard gain.
You just look at this hole right here for Rashard Mendenhall. He's going to start it downfield, but watch how he winds it all the way back. And look at this big hole in that backside A-gap between the center and guard. They get good push at the point. You see Trey Essex right there. Look at that hole right there. He's already into the secondary. The Chiefs, they talked all week about not giving up big runs early in this game.
1st and 10 at the 17. Mendenhall. Empty backfield, so he'll shift in motion. Roethlisberger swings it out for Mendenhall. Spin move. And Mendenhall will get hit short of the 25-yard line. What did Bruce Arians tell us, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers? We asked him about Mendenhall. He said his progression is way ahead of schedule. He also said he's got 150-pound feet, meaning he's got the feet of a very light man, but you put those feet on a guy with a frame that's 225 pounds, and it's a lethal combination.
Well, he's got feet like you. I mean, he's very quick, he's elusive, he's very, very deceptive.
Checking in at 155 these days. You're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. 2nd and 4 for the Steelers. Roethlisberger to throw it. Timing the pattern, and Holmes was the intended receiver on the far side. Brandon Carr with the coverage. And Big Ben and Holmes just not on the same page.
Yeah, I got the sense when you watched the game last week that the Steelers were pressing a little bit offensively. When we talked with Big Ben last night, he said, you know, it's not about the Chiefs so much this week. It's about us. It's about offensively us getting off to a good start, finding our rhythm, and taking care of business on our side of the football.
Roethlisberger, 1 of 3 so far. Just that 6-yard completion to Mendenhall. Now facing a 3rd and 4 with Llewellyn Moore in.
And this is a problem for him last week, and they were 3 of 15 on 3rd down conversions. Not good enough.
From the gun, here comes the rush. They handle it. Roethlisberger dials up a deep ball. And caught by Wallace. Ball popped loose. Brandon Flowers. Turnover. Chiefs take over.
Boy, it's amazing. You get a young player like that. Mike Wallace has got top-end speed. He makes a great play on the ball. Big Ben gives him a chance, but right here, he doesn't take care of it at the end. Nice job by Brandon Flowers.
Out of Mississippi, Mike Wallace is having an excellent year. Ben Roethlisberger really praised him in our meeting yesterday, but that matchup won by Brandon Flowers after allowing the catch. He pops the ball loose, and the Steelers turned it over. Handoff. Jamal Charles slicing through the Pittsburgh defense. 8-yard gain for Charles, who went over 100 yards last week. 103 and had the Chiefs' first rushing touchdown of the season.
You know, Jamal Charles is a smaller back. He's 5'11", 199 pounds. He's not the big banger or bruiser like Larry Johnson was. He's more of a slasher, but speed is his game. I think he'll help this offense, particularly on the early downs.
Charles, now in his second year out of Texas, was a track star for the Longhorns. Running in the Big 12. 2nd and 2 now for Kansas City. And a quick snap. Charles trying to accelerate, and the Steelers held him to a gain of 1. Tyrone Carter in for Polamalu, making that stop. It'll set up 3rd and short. Oh, we mentioned track. We got it for you. Charles, 2006 Big 12 Outdoor Championship. He won the 100 meters. Also competed in the 200 meters and the 3rd leg of the 4x1 meter relay.
He won that going away, didn't he?
Sure did. Charles. That hit at midfield. He didn't get it. They had a 2nd and 2 as somehow Cox came away with the football, but it was whistled down with Ike Taylor making the play. It'll all depend on the spot, but on the live look, he didn't get to the line.
You know, this has been a problem for him all season. They have not been very good in short yardage and goal line situations. And you mentioned the great run on 1st down. They have 2nd and 2, and now it looks like they might have to punt in this situation. Well, Charles, not a big back. They have not gotten good push and movement at the point.
What do you do here? You're 2-7. You're Todd Haley. You're trying to establish something with your team and identity. Is this even a place where you consider going for it if they do come up short, which they do?
Well, after what Bill Belichick did last week, you got to think they'll punt the ball. You know, I just think it makes sense in this situation. You're up 7. You've gotten off to a good start. Your defense is playing well. You want to play that battle of field position and pin the Steelers back.
So Dustin Colquitt will come on.
But that's a wasted opportunity on. You get a turnover and you get good field position and you're not able to capitalize.
And 8 yards on 1st down.
Amazing.
2 downs to make 2 yards and they gain 1. Lowell Moore is the return man, standing at his own 8-yard line. Colquitt had a 50-yard punt and put it right inside the 5 on his last attempt. Left-footed punter. Comes from that punting family, the Colquitts. Father Craig actually punted for the Steelers and for Indianapolis. High punt. Moore calls for a fair catch. This one's going to bounce, and this time Leggett could not make the play. Colquitt nearly did a replay of his last punt. Another 50-yard punt, but this time it's a net of only 30. 7-0 Kansas City in front. Through the first 6 weeks, the Steelers were ranked number 5 in the NFL in total offense. They've dropped down to number 9 overall. They've got a 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line, trailing 7-0. Roethlisberger fakes the handoff. Roethlisberger, plenty of time, throws it. Wide open Hines Ward into Kansas City territory. Long reception downfield to the veteran Ward, who is still putting up numbers after all these years. That's a 33-yard completion.
Well, this is what they do as well as anybody. Off the play action, they run it so well that they get these big shots down the field. You see Hines Ward, he's going to come all the way across the field on a deep crossing route, and Kansas City has no answer.
4-time Pro Bowler, now over 700 yards receiving on the season, averaging nearly 13 yards per catch.
He does all the little things you want in this system. He's willing to block. He's a very unselfish wide receiver.
Kind of guy you would like to play with?
Would have loved to have played with Hines Ward.
From the 47, handoff. right up the middle. Ron Edwards and Demario Williams combined to bring down Willie Parker.
Well, this is not how you want to start out if you're on the road. You don't want to give up a big kick return, certainly not to start the game, and then, of course, you come out in your first series offensively, your second series, and you get a turnover. You got to find ways to start games better on the road, particularly early in games.
2nd and 8, Pittsburgh in Kansas City territory at the 45-yard line of the Chiefs. 3 receiver set. And off to Parker again, right up the gut, and Parker keeps the legs churning out across the 40-yard line. It's a 6-yard pickup. Javon Belcher in on that stop for Kansas City. Sets up 3rd and 2.
And when you study the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively, they give you a different package of plays each week. Different personnel groups, formations, concepts, not only in the running game, but in the passing game. It is a lot to prepare for each week.
Bruce Arians, offensive coordinator. Steelers didn't score a touchdown last week for the first time in 15 games. Shotgun formation on a 3rd and 2.
Keep an eye on Hines Ward. This is where they like to go with it if they don't run it.
Inside handoff, Moore, second effort, and he lives up to the scouting report. Both Tomlin and Arians and Roethlisberger all talked about Mewelde Moore and the fact that this guy just has a nose for the first down line.
Well, Mewelde Moore is very important to this offense. You can see the run up here inside. He fills a specific role, and he does it very well as a 3rd down back. He is not flashy, but as Ben told us last night, he just makes plays. What did he say? He's a chain mover. That's how he described Mewelde Moore.
From the 35-yard line now, new set of downs for Pittsburgh to work with. Holmes is the motion man for the Steelers. Kansas City with a 7-0 lead, 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Roethlisberger fires to David Johnson. And Johnson, the rookie out of Arkansas State, 7th-round draft pick, was all Sun Belt there. Picks up 5 yards. Williams and Carr bring him down. Well, Ben Roethlisberger, flat out a winner.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, you think about this, he's won over 71% of his starts, including an impressive 64% on the road. Look at that company, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. They've all won Super Bowls. They're all winners, and they're all very important to their football team. 3 franchise quarterbacks.
2nd and 5 now for the Steelers. Pittsburgh on the move. Movement. May have been Trey Essex.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And it is the 5th-year guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers out of Northwestern. You know, we asked Ben about the Super Bowl hangover and what did he learn from the last go-around. He said, look, not just me, but as a group, we experienced it, the veterans, and it was understood that we were not going to allow that to happen again. Coming off their first Super Bowl, they did not have the kind of season the following year that they anticipated. They're 6-3 right now, the defending Super Bowl champions. They still believe that they're as good as anybody in the NFL. Roethlisberger over the middle. Hard hit at the 30 on Heath Miller. He got smacked by Derek Johnson, but another penalty flag.
Holding, number 78, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And that is Max Starks.
Well, Max Starks is going to have his work cut out for him today as he's going to go up against Tamba Hali, who's clearly the Chiefs' best pass rusher. He's got 3.5 sacks so far. He's made that transition from defensive end to linebacker rather smoothly, and he's really come on the last couple weeks. You see Mike Tomlin there. He cannot be happy with his start here in the first quarter.
And Mike Tomlin's team was in field goal range. They've been taken out of it because of back-to-back penalties. And now the line of scrimmage is the 45. 2nd and 20 for the Steelers. Rushes on. Roethlisberger steps up and dumps it off to Willie Parker. Parker busting it to the outside. So Parker in on this series for Mendenhall as Derek Johnson is there to greet him. It's an 11-yard gain through the air.
Well, I tell you what's amazing. You think about these checkdowns to the back. It's your best friend if you're a quarterback. Ben does a nice job holding it to the last second. But Willie Parker, he can really separate in the open field. He has a great deal of quickness. Very difficult to bring down one-on-one.
Went to the Pro Bowl in 2006 and 2007. Last 4 games, though, he's only had 9 carries for 35 yards. Shotgun on a 3rd and 9. Moore in there, third down back. Roethlisberger looking, guns it over the middle, and catch is made, but short of the first down. Hines Ward, Roethlisberger got hit hard. 8-yard pickup as Hali and Dorsey collapsed the pocket.
Well, looks like he might have gotten hit in the eye. You'll see right here, you see the pressure up inside, and right there, a hand comes in on his face. It's right there. It's Alex McGee. He looks like he gets a hand inside of the face mask of Ben Roethlisberger. Well, that'll bring a tear to your eye.
Right now, it's a 4th and 1, and Roethlisberger is staying on the field. Steelers would be staring at a 43-yard field goal attempt with 1:19 to go in this first quarter. They'll measure it. And it's short. Roethlisberger heads on over towards the sideline. What's your feeling here?
Oh, they're going to go for it. They have to. Hey, listen, they got to get their rhythm back offensively, and I think you want to drive down here and finish off this drive. You don't want to be settling for field goals. They did that last week. They were 0 for 4 in the red zone. It was a point of emphasis all week. They have to find a way to convert here to keep this drive alive. I think the big thing here is they have to be able to run the football. They have not run the ball particularly well in the red zone.
On 4th down, Chiefs fans reacting. Roethlisberger on a handoff. Mendenhall's got the first down. And across the 25-yard line, he picks up a 5-yard gain on that 4th down run. And this drive continues for Mike Tomlin and company.
Well, Rashard Mendenhall, I'll tell you what, he is a difficult tackle in the open field right there. You're going to see Corey Mays, he misses in the hole. But you go back to the beginning of the season, and we talked with Mike Tomlin about his expectations for Rashard Mendenhall. He says, I want to under-promise and over-deliver with this guy. Well, clearly this guy has delivered for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
On a 1st and 10 at the 22 of Kansas City. 9th play of the drive for the Steelers. Roethlisberger pumping, set up a screen for Hines Ward. Ward fumbles the football, and it's out of bounds. 4-yard gain as Ward always gives you that extra effort.
Well, you got to be careful with it. Hines Ward's a veteran player. You see this ball right here. Clearly, it's out of bounds. Nice job there by DeMario Williams trying to keep it back in the field of play. I'm not even sure if he wasn't down before that ball came out.
This drive, Steelers have had the balance. 4 rushes, 5 passes. Down to 9 seconds left in this first quarter. They'll get one more play off. Motion man is Holmes. Handoff. And Parker falling forward across the 20-yard line. Williams there defensively for Kansas City. Limit him to a 2-yard gain, and that's the end of this first quarter. Kansas City Chiefs with a 7-0 lead over Pittsburgh. We head to the second on CBS. Hi, I'm Eagle, Rich Gann, and the rest of our CBS crew. Welcome back to Kansas City, everybody. 7-0 the Chiefs leading the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, though, driving, facing a 3rd and 6 first play of this second quarter. Mike Tomlin's team, 18-12 loss to Cincinnati last week. That snapped a 5-game winning streak for the Steelers, who started the season 1-2. Moore is in, 11th play of the drive for the Steelers, trying to convert on this 3rd down. Roethlisberger pumped. Roethlisberger waiting, throws back in the end zone, incomplete. Mike Wallace, the intended receiver. And Roethlisberger just threw it out of bounds.
Boy, he had plenty of time. I thought if he would have used more of the field, more of the back of the end zone, he might have had a chance for Mike Wallace. But that's the thing with Ben Roethlisberger. You know he's going to hold it to the very last second. We talked to that guy right there, John McGraw. He said it's a nerve-wracking game for a secondary player because Ben Roethlisberger will take all the time he needs to make a decision.
Yeah, he said it's longer than the 4 seconds that you're accustomed to. So that mental clock in your head has to be adjusted. 36-yard field goal attempt for Jeff Reed. The punter, Sepulveda, will hold it. Greg Warren is the snapper. Steelers looking to get on the board. 36-yarder is good. at Kansas City with a 7-3 lead over Pittsburgh. We're just underway in the second quarter. Coming back to Arrowhead in a moment. Another missed opportunity in the red zone for the Steelers going back to last week against Cincinnati. Long drive, but the Steelers have to settle for a field goal. They will kick it off to Jamal Charles, who has already taken one back the distance here today. Jeff Reed. Charles from the 7. Finds a running lane, and Charles is upended short of the 30-yard line by Ryan Mundy on special teams. 20-yard return. 16-yard return. Kansas City. We'll see the Chiefs offense when we come back. The 5-time Pro Bowler Troy Polamalu, left knee injury in the first quarter last week. It's a strained PCL, no MCL damage, which was the good news. Bobby Wade with the reception for Kansas City. It's a 9-yard gain for Wade. What changes about the Pittsburgh defense without Polamalu in there, the veteran Tyrone Carter replacing him?
Well, I think you talk to Matt Castle, he's thrilled about it. It's one less thing you got to worry about. He's all over the place. It allows him to do so much more in terms of their blitz packages, some of their schemes. I think it'll make things a little easier for Matt Castle. We talked with Dick LeBeau last night, defensive coordinator, said you could put 10 different guys in that position and they wouldn't come up with the same productivity. This guy is a special player to play at every level of that defense.
On second and short, and Charles running into a crowd. They're trying to push the pile. And some pushing and shoving after the play. Charles never went down on the play. It was whistled dead. Now remember, they faced a second and short last possession. Couldn't convert. Third and short. Couldn't convert. This was after a 9-yard gain on first down.
You know, it's amazing. You see Tim Castile come in the game right now. He arrived on Wednesday, number 46. He's going to be a fullback for the Chiefs in this formation. And it's amazing. They bring guys in on Wednesday. They wind up playing a lot of plays on Sunday.
Former Arizona Cardinal on the pitch. And Charles has got the angle in the first down. How about that?
You bring him in on Wednesday, you run a couple practices on Thursday and Friday, and here's a guy that makes a big pitch in the game. They run the option. You're going to see him hand off, and right here they're going to option the ball off of Lamar Woodley. Nice play by the Kansas City offense.
Castile, now in his third year out of Alabama. Todd Haley familiar with him back in his Arizona days. And Castile's a bit of a hybrid. He can carry the football, too.
Yeah, he really can. He can cross over, do some running back stuff, fullback, help you in the third down package as well.
And off for Colby Smith, taking it right up the middle. And met by Casey Hampton, the 4-time Pro Bowler. It's a 3-yard gain for Smith in his third year from Louisville.
We talked about why it's so hard to run against this 3-4 defense. I mean, there's great familiarity with each other in the scheme. You see that? There's the architect right there, Dick LeBeau. And continuity, I think it's so important for this defense, and the fact that they're very rarely out of position. These guys, this guy right here, Casey Hampton, he anchors that front. They're very unselfish up there, but they play with a lot of energy and a lot of passion. Stopping the run is very important to this defense.
Smith just limped off the field, so Charles comes back on a 2nd and 7. They'll swing it out to Charles, trying to get him out in space, and Charles cannot cut it upfield because Lamar Woodley was all over it. A loss of 2 on the play. The converted defensive end, Woodley, he is really turning out to be a special player for this Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, that's nothing more than a perimeter run for this group. They're looking for ways to get to the edge. Now you see Kansas City hurrying up, lining up over the ball. You're going to see some of this, some no huddle on third down. Why? Because they don't want Dick LeBeau to be able to substitute and dial up all those pressures on third down.
False start, number 75, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
But with that also brings potential chaos to your offensive line. So they have the right idea, but you got to be able to execute.
Yeah, listen, execution is always important, and for this Kansas City offense, it's been a problem all season. They're not good enough right now to overcome all the mistakes. 33 offensive penalties. That leads the National Football League. The missed assignments, the mental errors, the drops have held back this offense. They have to be cleaner in these type of situations.
Chiefs receivers have dropped 28 catchable balls. That's the most in the NFL. Castle knocked up in the air and incomplete. Fortunate because it was hanging up there for a while. Ziggy Hood, the rookie out of Missouri. He knows this area well.
Well, it's amazing. They continue to plug in players. Guys go down, other players step up. Obviously, Ziggy Hood, their first-round pick, he has gotten more and more comfortable each week. He's getting more reps because of some of the injuries, and he has really produced the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Dick LeBeau telling us that Hood is very quick, strong work ethic. He's got that show-me attitude. He called him a very refreshing young man. First-round pick. Stephon Logan now back returning punts, and Logan from the 10 makes his move upfield. Logan looking for some blockers as he turns the corner. And Stephon Logan cutting to the outside. A flag down on the play, thrown at the 36-yard line. And Leggett injured coming down the field for Kansas City. So Maurice Leggett, second-year defensive back from Valdosta State.
During the kick, holding number 95 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, timeout.
And that's Donovan Woods, who was activated off the practice squad. And Leggett still in pain. We'll take a break. 7-3, Kansas City. On first down for the Steelers, play fake, Roethlisberger, plenty of time. On a cross, he's got Mendenhall. And Mendenhall with a little shake and bake move as he is brought down just short of the 15-yard line. It's a 9-yard gain. Williams and Carr bring him down. Leggett was able to get to the sideline on his own, but it looked like a right arm injury for Leggett on special teams.
Well, one of the things that Ben Roethlisberger has done a nice job early in this game is they've taken some shots on first down, and when it's not been there, he's been willing to check it down and let these backs go to work.
Mendenhall making his 7th start of the season. They're in a transition in the running game from Parker to Mendenhall as he's taken over the lion's share of the duties. And first down, Mendenhall trying to rip the ball away. Mendenhall would have none of it. And the Steelers with a strong run. Cologne and Miller, good blocks. NFL Today update to New York and JB.
Ian and Rich, Brett Favre can play another 40 years with the talent surrounding him now. Take a look out of the shotgun, hooking up with outstanding rookie Percy Harvin. 23-yard pass play, Harvin's 4th receiving touchdown of the season. Vikes up 7-0, Ian and Rich.
Oh yeah, having talent around you, you feel like Ponce de Leon, a fountain of youth for Brett Favre. Vikings are 8-1. Handoff. Mendenhall makes a cut and takes the opening for a 2-yard gain. Ron Edwards will be given credit for the tackle. Last drive for the Steelers. Long drive for Roethlisberger and company. Had to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. They made some plays. They converted some third down. Ben looked good. He looked sharp. Spread the ball around. But when they get down in the scoring zone, they've not been able to finish off drives. Very frustrating to keep having to settle for field goals.
2nd and 8 now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come in averaging 23 points per game. This is a very consistent team. Roethlisberger over the middle. He's got a first down to Hines Ward. Clock is moving. We approach 9 minutes to go in this first half. 8-yard gain. Another update, JB.
Ian and Rich, 2nd and goal from the 7 for Atlanta. The backup running back to the backup running back. Jason Snelling, 7 yards to pay dirt. That puts the Falcons on top 7-3. 2 5-4 squads desperately in need of a victory. Ian and Rich.
Well, JB, that is a huge game for both teams. The Atlanta Falcons, it's been up and down for them after getting off to the great start. Matt Ryan, a bit of a sophomore slump for him. And for the Giants, they look like world beaters early in the season. We'll keep you updated. Play clock was winding down. Roethlisberger improvising. Heath Miller in stride. And Miller down the sideline. Bang down inside the 25. There are terrible towels here in Kansas City. Now you can hear the reaction from the fans here.
Well, there's no one better at keeping a play alive with his feet while still keeping his eyes downfield better than Ben Roethlisberger. He does a great job with it. The other thing is no one on that offense gives up on a play with him back there.
Longest reception of the season for Miller, 41 yards. And The line of scrimmage is now the 24 of the Chiefs. Roethlisberger, short drop, and drop ball. Low throw to Hines Ward. It'll be 2nd and 10. AFC North standings. Pittsburgh 1 game behind Cincinnati, but the Bengals swept the Steelers. Rich, what's the feeling? Because we saw some quotes this week from the Steelers saying, hey, Cincinnati took care of business. We understand that. But you get the sense it's more, we'll see you again down the road.
Yeah, listen, they're disappointed, obviously, what happened in the 2 games against Cincinnati, a divisional foe. But the reality is, this is a journey for the Steelers. They think they have a chance to meet them at the end of the season.
On a handoff, Mendenhall. And Rashard Mendenhall, slowed down by Edwards, able to turn it into a 2-yard gain.
You mentioned that the standings, and this is a veteran football team. This is a team that has been through the highs and lows of a 16-game season. They've won Super Bowls. It's a veteran group. That guy right there, Mike Tomlin, he's the voice of reason in that locker room. These players, they believe in it. They're not going to panic. They're going to keep sawing wood. They'll keep getting after it. And I really believe this is still a dominant team in the AFC.
Steelers have accumulated 211 total yards so far in this first half. Kansas City has 46, and they've got the lead. Roethlisberger pumping and guns it over the middle to Miller. First down inside the 10.
And the Kansas City defense, they talked all week about not allowing Pittsburgh receivers to run clear through their secondary. That's just what's happening. You're going to see Heath Miller. He's working right down the middle of the field. The linebackers let him crease that seam. They're not doing a good enough job disrupting these receivers at the line of scrimmage. You have to reroute these tight ends and receivers. They have too much speed and too much athleticism to hurt you down the field.
Also very little pressure on Roethlisberger. First and goal from the 6. Handoff. Mendenhall. It's a loss on the play. Tamba Hali.
Well, this guy has been a bright spot on this defense, Tamba Hali. I mean, he's made plays all over the field. He's been very good in the run and certainly a great pass rusher.
How about this? Pittsburgh Steelers have now gone 95 straight carries without a touchdown. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. Kansas City had the longest active streak until last week, the victory over Oakland. Charles had the rushing touchdown.
And we talked about good red zone teams are able to run the ball in this part of the field. That's not something they've done a very good job of the last couple of weeks.
10th play of the drive. 2nd and goal from the 8. Roethlisberger out of the gun. Roethlisberger flushed out, pumping, throwing, touchdown, Hines Ward. Steelers take the lead.
Well, this is the thing you worry about when you play Ben Roethlisberger in this Pittsburgh offense. Him moving around and also their ability to get him to the ground. He's a very difficult quarterback to sack. He's elusive, but his ability to make plays out on the edge. The other thing is these receivers, they continue to move. They continue to make themselves available in the back of the end zone.
Steelers go 10 plays, 95 yards.
What did he say? He said Hines Ward and Heath Miller and guys like Mweli Moore, they're the best backyard football players you'll ever find. They do a good job improvising on the move.
Extra point from Jeff Reed. And the Steelers in front, 10-7 with 5:32 remaining in the first half. The Steelers cool, calm, collected. They've got the lead. 172 straight games with a catch for Hines Ward, which is a team record. That one was a big catch, a touchdown back of the end zone. Kansas City had to respect the running ability of Roethlisberger, and the defensive backs released. That left Ward by himself. Charles, the return man, from the 7. And slowed down and taken down just across the 25-yard line. Andre Frazier making the play on special teams. Kansas City offense trying to get in sync. Chiefs trail by 3. Steelers fans travel well. Amazingly, that is that gentleman's natural hair. Troy Polamalu unavailable today. Could be unavailable next week as well when they take on Baltimore. That's still up in the air. Kansas City Chiefs take over. On 1st and 10, Castle is sacked. Casey Hampton, first man there. James Harrison.
Just look at the push-up side up inside that Casey Hampton gets. This is where it all starts. He gets pushed right up inside, and of course, that little TE game up inside with James Harrison. But the push up in the pocket made it very difficult for Matt Castle to step up in there.
Injury update for Kansas City. Colby Smith, it's an ankle. His return is questionable for the Chiefs. Matt Castle sacked 30 times this season. On a short toss for Jamal Charles, and Charles takes it just short of the 25-yard line. It's a 7-yard gain, and Kansas City facing 3rd and long.
Yeah, you look at these first 3 possessions. It's not good. They've punted it at a 3 and out as well in there. And you look at time of possession, it's starting to become a factor. Kansas City has to find a way to convert on some of these 3rd downs.
Castle is 2 and 5. This is a 3rd and 12, and his arm was hit as he threw, so that pass never got out cleanly. He was looking for Mark Bradley downfield. Harrison and Timmons combined to supply the pressure on Castle.
Well, you're going to see they're bringing 6 rushers right there, and of course Matt's trying to step up and make a play, but right there, right before he gets rid of it, Lawrence Timmons comes in and gets his hand on that one, deflects the ball. Kansas City really struggling to find their way offensively.
Dustin Colquitt punting. Stephon Logan standing at the 21-yard line. The Chiefs have 43 yards of offense. Time of possession overwhelming in favor of Pittsburgh. Logan moving forward. Steelers will have good field position. Circling now, and Logan into Kansas City territory as he's forced out of bounds just short of the 45-yard line by Andy Studebaker. Coming up, Sprint halftime report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Coward. They've got the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Sprint halftime report. You know, Rich, one of the subplots to this game, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers who won the Super Bowl last year, and you've got Todd Haley and Clancy Pendergast, who were part of the Arizona Cardinals, who lost the Super Bowl last year. We asked Tomlin, we asked Haley, we asked Pendergast, did you watch some of the Super Bowl? They all said it was the first time they watched the Super Bowl since it was played.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it was painful, obviously, for the Chiefs coaches to watch it, to lose the game in that fashion. But they said they learned a lot from watching it again in terms of putting this game plan together.
Mendenhall trying to find some running room. He picks up a yard. Mike Brown over there to make the play. Now we know that Todd Haley was the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, and Clancy Pendergast was the defensive coordinator. We also know that Santonio Holmes made one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history, and credit should be given to Ben Roethlisberger for squeezing it in there.
I'll tell you what, it was a perfect throw and a perfect catch to get it done, and it took all of that. I mean, obviously the way Arizona came back in that game, just a great Super Bowl to watch, and a really wild finish.
2nd and 9, Roethlisberger to throw it. Dump off. Mendenhall, look out. And Rashard Mendenhall getting a good block upfield from Holmes. It's a 13-yard gain as the Steelers move the chains.
And the Kansas City Chiefs have no answers right now for these little checkdowns that Ben keeps throwing to the backs. Look at the yards they're picking up after the catch. I mean, there's just too much speed, too difficult for some of these Chief linebackers to make these tackles in the open field.
And the fact that they've got receivers that block downfield to create extra space. Ward we know about. Holmes has improved in that area. Under 3 minutes to go now in this first half. Line of scrimmage just short of the 30-yard line. Santonio Holmes across the 30, cut down by Brandon Flowers. It's a 4-yard gain for Holmes. I think everybody kind of expected Holmes to really bust out this year statistically, and the numbers have been good. They haven't been great. Just the 1 touchdown, the Super Bowl MVP. Pro Bowl potential. But guess what? Defensive coordinators are keying in on him, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're very concerned about his speed, his ability to really separate in the open field. They've talked all week about disrupting him at the line of scrimmage so that he can't run clean through that secondary.
3 receivers set, running play. Mendenhall in a crowd to the 25-yard line. Picks up 3 yards. He'll be short of the first down. Ali and Dorsey over there defensively with Belcher for Kansas City. So 3rd and 3. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this will wind down to the 2-minute warning in the second quarter. Steelers in bounce-back mode after last week's loss to Cincinnati. They've got the lead over Kansas City, and they're looking for more with 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to play in this first half. The Steelers with a 10-7 lead over Kansas City, and a 4-receiver set on a 3rd and 3 for the Steelers. From the Chiefs' 25. Shotgun. Roethlisberger gets rid of it. Floater is caught by Wallace. First down, Pittsburgh. Brandon Carr in coverage, and it covers 14 yards.
Boy, not a great throw by Big Ben, but I'll tell you what, nice job on the boundary by Mike Wallace. This one sails a little bit on him. Not a perfect throw, but a great catch on the boundary to pick up a critical first down.
Wallace, a 3rd-round pick, ran a 4.3340 at the combine. He's got good size, too. 200 pounds, just over 6 foot. 1st and 10 for the Steelers at the 11-yard line. Handoff, Mendenhall. Stutter step move, nothing there. Derek Johnson called his name quite a bit so far. Johnson in on that stop. It'll be 2nd and 10.
You know, when you talk with chief defensive players all week, they said we don't want to let this offense dictate the tempo and the pace of this football game. That's just what's happening. There's a number of reasons why. Certainly they can't get off the field on 3rd down. The other issue is their offense has really struggled. They've been on the field too long, and eventually this group will wear down.
On 2nd down for the Steelers, Miller is the motion man. Pittsburgh trying to add to its lead. Roethlisberger from the gun, avoids the sack. Roethlisberger still on his feet, floats it to Miller. Touchdown, Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger.
And the other thing we talked with Todd Haley about yesterday, and you remember he said we're concerned about getting Ben Roethlisberger on the ground. When we have a chance to sack him, they talked about trying to tackle his throwing arm. You're going to see right here, Tom Bahali gets up in there. Right inside, though, is Ron Edwards. He tries to tackle him up high. Ben is too strong and too elusive. He moves as well as any quarterback in the pocket. His ability to make a play, moving around, absolutely devastating to this defense.
A master in improvisation. It may not be the play that you called, breaking the huddle, but it's still effective. Roethlisberger said, hey, that's my game. That's just how I play. 7 plays, 46 yards, 10-yard touchdown to Miller. Roethlisberger on the day is 16 of 20, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Steelers did not have a touchdown last week. They put 2 on the board here in the first half today. They've got a 17-7 lead. Charles has accounted for all of the Kansas City points. And he is buried just short of the 30-yard line. Coming up, Sprint halftime report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher have the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Sprint halftime report.
Well, this Kansas City offense, they have to find a way to get some more production on 1st down. It's been a problem all season. Too many negative plays. It's a big reason why they have struggled on 3rd down. They've been terrible this year on 3rd down, converting just 20%. So they need more production on the early downs to give themselves a chance to make some of these conversions.
They lost one of their biggest weapons, wide receiver Dwayne Bowe. 4-game suspension for violating the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. Jamal Charles. Good cut by Charles, and he got nailed as he tried for extra yardage. Ryan Clark laying the wood, a 10-yard gain on 1st down.
Boy, he almost knocks his helmet off. You're going to watch this hit. He's going to track him. You're going to see Ryan Clark tracks this all the way across the formation. Look at his helmet. He literally knocks his chin strap right off him.
Hassel throwing in some tight space. Bobby Wade is ruled down. Kansas City has 3 timeouts remaining. They're not using them. 28 seconds left. It's a gain of 1. Chiefs did not call a timeout. 2nd and 9. Shotgun. Castle out of the pocket, throwing on the move and throws it away in the direction of Lance Long, 1st-year wideout out of Mississippi State. Ziggy Hood applying the pressure on Castle. Why no timeouts there for Kansas City?
3 timeouts left, and that's something that Todd Haley has been criticized for this week here in Kansas City. Game day management. Just, you need help on the sidelines. You need help with those situations and making good decisions. Clearly, they should have called a timeout in that situation. You can see right now they're trying to get lined up. A lot of quick game today. You can see the Chiefs, Matt Castle not holding the ball, trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly and avoid this rush.
And a fast-moving first half. Castle again. And low throw, scooped out of there by Wade, but a trap. And 2 seconds remain on the clock. Matt Castle, the numbers are not going to look very pretty at the end of this first half.
Very sloppy offensively for the Chiefs, and we talked about their lack of production early in football games. They've not scored a touchdown in the first quarter all year. This second quarter has been just as bad. And you can see right now, Matt Castle, you talked about taking away a player like Larry Johnson, who they released a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, you take away his leading receiver, a guy like Dwayne Bowe. That has a huge impact on a quarterback, particularly at this point in the season.
Right, and all of a sudden, Chris Chambers emerges as the #1 receiver. He's only been here 3 weeks. That'll be the end of the first half. Lamar Woodley with a sack on Matt Castle. Flag comes down at the 43-yard line.
Illegal shift, offense, 2 men in motion at the snap. That penalty is declined. That's the end of the first half.
The Kansas City Chiefs put up 47 yards of offense in the first half. 17-7, Pittsburgh leading the Chiefs. We're coming back with a Sprint halftime report on CBS. 17-7, Steelers leading the Chiefs, getting ready for second half action here at Arrowhead. Welcome back to the broadcast booth, everybody. Ian Eagle along with Rich Gannon, one of your former homes here in Kansas City. Well, the Chiefs return the opening kick for a touchdown. No panic from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They regain control of the first half, and you got to give credit to their leader on offense. Ben Roethlisberger was absolutely terrific.
Yeah, he's been just phenomenal in the first half. 16 of 20 for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Chiefs have to find a way to get some pressure on him and disrupt him. Right now, he is in a rhythm. He's moving around. He's very difficult to get down to the ground. This is what the Chiefs talked about all week. But right now, Ben Roethlisberger is on a roll. And, you know, you just talk at halftime. Chiefs have not been a good team at getting pressure on the quarterback. And you look at this total domination in the first half by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at those plays of 10 yards or more, 10, time of possession. The Chiefs offense, they have to find a way to get something going here early in the third quarter because their defense has been on the field way too long in this ballgame, and eventually they're going to wear out.
Kansas City Chiefs interaction at 2-7. They've won 5 of their last 35 games. 3 of those 5 victories have come against the Oakland Raiders. And Ryan Suckup will get things started in this second half with Stefan Logan, the return man. Logan, formerly in the CFL, ran track in college at South Dakota. Second half here in Kansas City. Logan will take it from a yard deep in the end zone. He's got a blocker in front of him, and Logan hits the perimeter. Veers out of bounds out across the 40-yard line. Good field position for Pittsburgh to open up this second half. Give him a 38-yard return for Logan.
You know, Stefan Logan has not returned a kick for a touchdown this year, but I think it's just a matter of time. I've watched this guy all season long. The thing I like about him, he's very precise. He doesn't take a lot of time trying to make up his mind. He's very decisive. He hits it, and he runs hard, and he's willing to pour it up inside.
And his longest return of the season, 56 yards. How about Roethlisberger's numbers first half? 16 of 20, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
His greatest quality, his ability to stretch a play. He did a lot of that in the first half.
Handoff, it's Mendenhall fighting for extra yardage, and Mendenhall will get 2 up the middle.
It was interesting when we talked with Bruce Arians last night, Ian, that he talked about Ben holding the football. We made it a big point to ask him about that. He said, I'll live with the 3 or 4 sacks each week because he generates so many big plays. The offensive line knows it's not their problem. It's not their concern. This guy is going to make enough plays to overcome the 2 or 3 bad ones in a ball game.
Yeah, we asked Arians what was his feeling on what really went wrong last week, and he thought the Monday night game in Denver took a lot more out of the team than anybody anticipated. Traveling across the country, getting home. Look, all teams have to deal with it if you play a West Coast team from the East Coast on Monday night. Roethlisberger over the middle. Hot receiver is Hines Ward. And it's a first down out across the 45-yard line. Mike Brown with a tackle for Kansas City. They gain 9 through the air.
Well, you look at there, the way they started the game wasn't good, and of course they had the fumble, but after that they got on a roll. And you look at that 12-play drive, 10-play drive, and clearly Ben's ability to move around in the pocket, avoid the rush, and keep plays alive really helped them on some of those drives.
And their defense has allowed a league-low 11 touchdowns this season. We have seen nothing from the Kansas City offense so far.
Really a balanced football team when you look at it, offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. This is a very, very good football team.
Willie Parker in on first down. Roethlisberger straight back. Roethlisberger over the middle. Miller comes off his fingertips and intercepted. Andy Studebaker, the Division III product from Wheaton College, making his first NFL start.
Well, what did he say? Big plays. They need him in the kicking game. They need him on defense.
First career interception for Andy Studebaker as the Chiefs take over following the turnover. Castle throwing and nobody home. It's over the head of Mark Bradley. So Kansas City benefits from a Heath Miller mistake. Couldn't bring it in cleanly, and Studebaker there. You're a gearhead. What happened to the Studebaker?
Well, they went out of production. I believe it was about 1962. He's actually a descendant of the famed Studebaker family who developed one of the most popular and innovative American automobile lines of the 20th century. I've never owned one. I know that was your first car, I believe.
Yeah.
And, when you were 16 years old.
Yes.
The Studebaker.
Oh, me and all the fellas. Jamal Charles running to the outside. It's a 5-yard gain. James Farrier over there to make the play for Pittsburgh. Hey, don't forget to watch Fantasy Football Today to get the last-minute news and analysis that you need to set your fantasy league lineup. Live every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, only on CBSSports.com. I actually had an Etzel. Castle to throw.
There you go.
And a first down. Chris Chambers. And the Chiefs move the chains.
Right. Chris Chambers is a very smart player. You know, it's amazing. This guy just rolled into town a couple weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, he's probably one of the better receivers here in this offense. Third down, though, Ian, it's been a problem for this football team. They've converted just 20%. 20%, that's last in the National Football League. Part of the problem is they've not been good enough on the early downs. But, you know, I've been in these games before as a quarterback where you just, boy, every time you go to throw the ball, somebody's covered. Every time you go to run the ball, they tackle with the line of scrimmage for a negative in the game right there.
Castle rifles over the middle. Mark Bradley inside the 25. It's a 22-yard hookup working against William Gay.
Well, that's what you got to do. You got to take some shots on first down. Nice job with the stretch. You're going to see right there, Bradley. He runs right down the middle of the field untouched through that secondary. Good throw and catch by the Chiefs.
So Kansas City only down by 10. Early stages of this third quarter, and the Chiefs moving the football. Line of scrimmage is now to 24.
Well, you want to come out here in the third quarter and do something early, get a score, and get yourself right back in this ball game.
4 receivers set. It's a pitch for Charles. And Charles taking it to the outside. Harrison and Timmons combine to bring him down. It's a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, not good here when you look at the first half possessions. I mean, look at those 3 and outs and a bunch of punts, and they end the half on downs. And again, time of possession really important in this football game against a team like Pittsburgh that has so much balance, not only offensively but defensively. And you see Todd Haley there just trying to find a way to get something positive going with this offense.
Chiefs are averaging just under 16 points per game. They allow 24 points per game. Shotgun formation. Castle unable to make the connection to Charles. And it brings up third down.
Well, when you play against a team like Pittsburgh, and I talked with Matt Castle about this on Friday, there are going to be times in the game where you're fooled, where they give you a look, something you haven't prepared for, something you haven't seen. You just have to be smart in those situations. You just can't make a bad play, like take a sack or have a turnover.
Going no huddle. Castle to Leonard Pope. Touchdown, Chiefs. Matt Castle put it on time to the tight end. And Kansas City is right back in it.
Boy, really a nice job. This offensive line now doing a better job in the second half, giving Matt Castle some time in the pocket. He's just going to find his tight end on a little 7 route, little corner route, and they blow the coverage in the secondary.
First touchdown of the season for Leonard Pope, the former Arizona Cardinal. And a big target, 6'8", 264 pounds. Ryan Suckup for the point after. It is 17-14 Steelers, 10:48 to go in the third quarter. A 7-play, 62-yard drive coming off the interception by Studebaker. 3-point game. Kansas City Chiefs had 47 yards in the first half. They had 62 yards on that drive, and very different emotions for the two tight ends. Pope got the touchdown. Miller, the gaff, when he couldn't hold on to the football, and it was intercepted by the Chiefs. Logan will take a knee. Pittsburgh will have it at the 20. We've got a whole new ball game with 10:48 to play in the third. The Steelers in front, 17-14. Injury for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting left guard Chris Kemoyatu is out. Ramon Foster, rookie out of Tennessee, has stepped in to replace him. And Pittsburgh opens up with a 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. New life for these Chiefs fans. Roethlisberger pumps and dumps it over the middle. He's got Matt Spaeth. And Spaeth across the 25 for a gain of 7.
Well, you go back and look at the touchdown. Keep an eye right here on William Gay. He's going to blow the coverage. They're going to run a little scissors route here out on the stack alignment. And what happens is at the top of that route, William Gay is going to take the receiver to the post. You got to pass that off to the safety. You see right there, Leonard Pope, the beneficiary of a blown coverage in the back end.
On 2nd down now for the Steelers. Off Mendenhall. He has not gotten going in the running game. He's had some impressive catch and runs as Glenn Dorsey makes the play defensively. It's a 2-yard gain for Mendenhall, 43 yards on the ground, and he's got 28 yards through the air.
Yeah, good look right there at Glenn Dorsey. You know, you and I talked about the production with some of these younger players along this defensive line. Not a lot of sacks, but they've gotten better in their run fits. They're playing more complementary football. They're doing a better job putting some pressure on the quarterback, but they just haven't gotten the sacks yet early in their career.
Trying to convert on a 3rd and 1. The Steelers with 9.5 to go in the third. Handoff, Mendenhall stacked up. He didn't get it.
Boy, that's just what we talked about. Nice job up in front there. You're going to see Glenn Dorsey and Ron Edwards, that group. Look at Todd Haley. He's excited about this group. They're young, but they are playing hard. Look at that penetration right up inside. Nice job by the safety, Mike Brown, and the linebackers getting the fill, forcing Mendenhall to go east and west. What's a big stop for the Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs defense holds the Steelers 3 and out. Sepulveda punting. Bobby Wade standing at his own 20. He will move forward. And fair catch called for at the 31-yard line. It's a 40-yard punt. Chiefs take over, trailing by 3. Third quarter action will continue from Arrowhead after these words. Kansas City Chiefs take over, a 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. Running play, it goes up the middle for Charles. Not much there for him. Casey Hampton, first man there. Todd Haley, head coach of the Chiefs, was a ball boy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was the connection? Well, his father, Dick Haley, was the longtime director of player personnel for the Steelers. He actually played from 1959 to 1964 as a defensive back. 14 career interceptions, but helped build that Steelers team, the great teams of the 70s and the 80s. And Todd grew up in that atmosphere. Handoff, it's Charles, and cut down by Lawrence Timmons, limiting Charles to a gain of 1. Before the game, Dick Haley was out on the field, and he was wearing the Kansas City red. We had a chance to chat with him over the weekend. What a classy guy.
Really, I tell you, talk about a great player, but a legendary NFL personnel, man. You think about some of the players he assembled: Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, Mel Blount, Jack Ham, Franco Harris, Lynn Swann, on and on, all Hall of Famers for those Steelers.
Almost intercepted by Ryan Clark. Tried to squeeze it into Chris Chambers into double coverage, and the Kansas City Chiefs will punt.
Well, another 3 and out, and this not a very good sequence here. You see right there, no separation right there. They sit on that route the whole way. Nice job by Ike Taylor and the safety back there, Ryan Clark, working on unison in that 2 deep coverage. They were not fooled at all by that little dig route from Chris Chambers.
5th punt of the day for Dustin Colquitt. And Stefan Logan standing at his own 13-yard line.
He gets a lot of hang time on his punts.
Sure does. Chiefs get down the field in a hurry. From the 16, Logan curls it upfield. And Logan hit from behind as he crosses the 25-yard line. Leggett, by the way, it was a shoulder injury on special teams in the first half for Kansas City. A 51-yard punt. First half looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers had taken control of this game, and they were driving in the third quarter, but Ben Roethlisberger was intercepted as it came off of Heath Miller into the hands of Andy Studebaker. That led to a Kansas City touchdown, and now the Steelers' lead is down to 3 with 7:32 to go in the third. First and 10 at the Pittsburgh 26-yard line. Parker in the backfield. Roethlisberger guns it in stride. He's got Santonio Holmes on the slant. And a first down to the 40-yard line. It covers 14 yards and a penalty marker down, working on Brandon Flowers. 4 penalties so far against Pittsburgh.
After the ball is dead, unnecessary roughness, number 83. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Now that's Heath Miller again. Voting for the 2010 Pro Bowl has begun. Send your favorite player to South Florida for the Pro Bowl game by voting online or with your mobile phone, NFL.com/Pro Bowl. You vote, they play. So back it up after the 14-yard gain. It's at the 25-yard line following the penalty. 5 penalties costing the Steelers 45 yards. And Roethlisberger operating from the shotgun.
Well, the Steelers really like these bunch sets here. Do a lot of different things out of that, but the screen is a big one.
Screen to Holmes. And Santonio Holmes able to turn it upfield. And he's got a first down across the 35, covering 12 yards.
And you get Heath Miller out in front of you and Hines Ward. They do a good job with that. We talked early in the game about how the Pittsburgh Steelers give you a lot to prepare for, not only in terms of the personnel usage, but also in terms of the formation usage.
Steelers had the special teams breakdown to start the day, where Kansas City got a touchdown from Jamal Charles.
You saw right there 8 different players have caught a pass today for the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger does a good job spreading the ball around in this offensive attack.
Fake the handoff to Parker. Roethlisberger in the pocket. Roethlisberger, deep ball. And over the head of Santonio Holmes. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Pittsburgh.
Boy, you can almost sense that Ben Roethlisberger, he gets antsy at times. He wants to push the ball down the field. They want to take some shots on the early downs, and he has a very difficult time giving up on a play. That's the one thing when you study a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, his ability to extend the play. But the big thing is, boy, he just has a hard time giving up on a play.
Roethlisberger last week was 20 of 40. Today he is 20 of 25.
Yeah, he's been on a real roll.
From the gun. Roethlisberger in some trouble. Avoids it. Roethlisberger over the middle. And it's complete to Hines Ward. Boy, he's done that so often throughout his career. But today alone, Kansas City had him dead to rights and unable to bring him down as Derek Johnson had a shot at him.
I don't know that there's a better quarterback in the National Football League in terms of his mobility in the pocket. He's very elusive for a big quarterback. This guy is 6'5", 241 pounds, but he's got great quickness and he's got very strong upper body strength. Does a great job using that left hand, shedding tacklers off and extending the play.
First down for the Steelers. Roethlisberger straight back. Pumping. Throwing. On a cross. Ben Roethlisberger completes it to Ward again. 19 yards into Kansas City territory. And now the Steelers are in business.
But when you need a big play, just keep an eye on this guy right here, Hines Ward. Very sneaky receiver. He's got a great feel for the type of coverage, knows where those holes are in the zone. Does a great job making himself available.
8 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown for Hines Ward, the 12-year veteran today. 5 1,000-yard seasons, and it looks like he's on his way to career 1,000-yard season number 6.
Well, I got a great appreciation for Hines Ward. I've had the good fortune of playing with him in a Pro Bowl or two. This guy is a very unselfish player, and he does all the little things you want your receiver to do. Very, very unselfish.
Willie Parker turns it upfield for a 2-yard gain, met by Andy Studebaker. Hines Ward, Super Bowl MVP on the first go-around, and holds most of the Steelers' receiving records. And you're talking about a team that had Lynn Swann and John Stallworth.
You know, it's amazing when Ben Roethlisberger needs a big play or a critical third down situation, he usually looks to number 86 for the answer.
Roethlisberger now has 293 yards passing. 2nd and 8 for Pittsburgh.
Well, here comes pressure. You just know it. That's why Ben takes the timeout. Had a hard time making up their mind on how to handle that protection.
Stops the clock with 4:16 to play in this third quarter. Gives us a chance to head to New York and check in with James Brown.
Ian and Rich, haven't heard T.O.'s name in the end zone often this year. Ryan Fitzpatrick from his own end zone. Up top to T.O. T.O. 98 yards to pay dirt. Buffalo on top by the score of 15-10 over Jacksonville. That in the third. Back to Ian Eagle, Rich Gannon.
All right, JB, we had a chance to see T.O. and all of those machinations from a week ago when they lost in Nashville. So T.O.
That'll keep T.O. happy for a while, won't it?
For the rest of the quarter. 2nd and 8 now for Pittsburgh after the timeout. 4:16 to play in the third quarter. Steelers leading the Chiefs 17-14. Roethlisberger on a handoff for Willie Parker. And Parker able to bust through that hole and carry close to the 20-yard line. Ron Edwards there to bring him down. It's a first down for Pittsburgh, and Edwards is slow to get up. Edwards now in his 9th year, former Buffalo Bill.
Well, you don't know if that's a cramp. Looks like. Look at his calf. They're grabbing at that calf, and they push that foot back. They're trying to stretch that calf.
We'll step aside. 3:56 to play in the third. Steelers lead by 3. Ron Edwards now on the Chiefs sideline. He's replaced by Kenny Smith, formerly with New Orleans, Oakland, and New England. He was one of those late additions. It's been a rotating roster for the Chiefs. Mike Vrabel, they acquired him from New England during the offseason, the Pro Bowler back in 2007, and originally drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Boy, not only do you miss his production, a guy like Vrabel, but not only his experience, but not only that, his direction out there. He's like another quarterback on the field for that defense. He does a great job getting them lined up and making all the calls for that defense.
And Vrabel out with a knee injury. Drafted in the 3rd round by Pittsburgh back in 1997. Played 4 years with the Steelers. On a 1st and 10 for Pittsburgh at the Kansas City 22. Roethlisberger, deep drop, swing pass, and cutting, incomplete. He was looking for Mendenhall, penalty marker on the play. 2 of them, in fact, as Mendenhall broke free of DeMario Williams.
Holding, number 74, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And that's Willie Colon in his 4th year from Hofstra. Starting right tackle called on the hold.
Yeah, these tackles, they're doing their best. I tell you, it's a frustrating job up front for this group, particularly when you have a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. You have to have a different time clock in your head because he will hold it. They know that up front. It's an all-day job for that group to protect for Ben Roethlisberger.
3:32 remaining in this third quarter. Steelers 17, Chiefs 14. Now a 1st and 20 for Pittsburgh from the Kansas City 32. Here comes the rush right up the middle. They handle it. Roethlisberger steps up, throws on the move, and complete to Santonio Holmes. Right at the 20-yard line. And Ben Roethlisberger has gone over 300 yards for the 11th time.
Look at this. A guy comes clean right up inside to Mario Williams. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't even flinch. He doesn't panic at all. He just slides to his left and makes a great throw on the run. That's the beauty of Ben Roethlisberger. You can bring pressure. You can have free rushers. He still has the ability with his athleticism to make a guy miss in space.
Mendenhall in the backfield on a 2nd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Fake the running play. Roethlisberger, plenty of time. Roethlisberger throws it. And he's got his man, Miller. First down out near the 10-yard line for Heath Miller. That's a 10-yard pickup for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know, it's amazing. You can put a clock on Ben Roethlisberger. It's unbelievable. When we talk with the secondary, they said it's an all-day affair. Forget the normal clock in your head against this offense. You got to hold on to your pants because it's going to take a while. A lot of the Pittsburgh's big plays in the passing game come after Ben gets outside the pocket.
1st and goal from the 10. Steelers lead by 3. Miller in motion. Roethlisberger from the gun. Roethlisberger looks, throws, and intercepted. It's Studebaker again. Andy Studebaker down the sideline. Does he have enough speed? Studebaker runs out of gas.
He runs out of gas. I'll tell you what, you talk about a guy making his first start today, his 2nd interception of the day. Ben Roethlisberger got a little greedy. He held it a little bit too long. The pressure got home. He never saw Studebaker in the back of the end zone.
94-yard return. And he was caught from behind by Mendenhall giving chase.
Well, I tell you, he just got a little greedy here. Nice job. They get some pressure, but I don't think he ever sensed Andy Studebaker. And look at this, a great effort. Another great effort. At the end of this play, you're going to see right there, actually that ball gets tipped.
So the Chiefs take over. 1st and goal. Castle play fake. Castle is sacked. Lamar Woodley.
Well, you're going to see right here, they do a nice job with the play action fake, but they don't block the edge right there. You're going to see they get pressure off the edge by Lamar Woodley, the back. Mike Cox, that's a mismatch. When you put a fullback like Cox on a Pro Bowl player like Lamar Woodley, you don't have a lot of time in the pocket.
Andy Studebaker, a 6th-round pick by Philadelphia. So a limited time as a rookie last year. Studebaker making the play. Castle throws, and underneath he completes to Bobby Wade. Short of the 5-yard line, they pick up 6 yards, and it sets up 3rd and goal for Kansas City.
You know, the one thing Kansas City has done a nice job of this season, when you go back and look at this group, they've taken care of the football. And that starts with the quarterback who's thrown just 6 interceptions coming into today's game. And they're giving themselves a chance. When their defense generates some turnovers, they get a big play in the kicking game. Now, all the offense has to do is capitalize in this situation.
4 receiver set on 3rd and goal. Castle looks. Castle in some trouble. And cut down from behind by James Harrison. James Harrison, now double-digit sacks in back-to-back seasons. And that was a big one for Pittsburgh, their 4th of the day.
And you just can't afford to hold the ball versus this defense. You can't afford to take that extra hit. The ball has to come out. You also must be willing to throw it away sometimes against a defense like this. You have to have a time clock in your head. You don't have all the time in the world.
27-yard field goal attempt for Ryan Suckup, trying to tie this game up at 17. And Suckup nails it. 17 apiece, 5 seconds to go in the 3rd. What a turn this game has taken here in the 2nd half. Mendenhall getting down the field to track down Studebaker could turn out to be a huge play.
That was all effort by Rashard Mendenhall. He was totally on the backside of that play. He chased that play all the way down the boundary, and if he doesn't make that effort play, Andy Studebaker goes in for the easy score.
So the Steelers and Chiefs are tied at 17. 5 seconds remaining in this third quarter.
But Ben's got to shake it off and get right back under center and forget about that last mistake. And the good thing about this guy, he's been in a lot of big games. And he's overcome adversity a number of times in his career. He knows how to respond in these situations.
And coming up this week, Dave's all new with Natalie Portman, Zac Efron, and Rihanna. Plus, tomorrow, catch Robin Williams, followed by The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, only on CBS.
Boy, I'm always happy when young players, a guy like Andy Studebaker, makes his first ever start from small Wheaton College, takes advantage of the opportunity. What a great day so far for Andy Studebaker.
Stephon Logan catches in stride at the 10-yard line. And Logan is brought down just short of the 30-yard line. It's a 17-yard return on special teams. Javon Belcher making the play. Ben Roethlisberger was on his way to monster numbers. But young man from Eureka, Illinois, Andy Studebaker, has been the difference maker. Kansas City puts up 10 points in the third quarter. They've tied this game up at 17 apiece as we start play in the fourth. Ben Roethlisberger throwing on first down. Good hands by Santonio Holmes. And he's got a first down for Pittsburgh. Out across the 45-yard line. That pass covers 20 yards.
Well, it's one of the hardest throws for a right-handed quarterback, that deep glance route to your left, and a nice job there by Ben Roethlisberger putting it out in front of Santonio Holmes so he can get into the transition of the run.
Roethlisberger, 335 yards passing. Start of the fourth quarter. Ian Eagle, Rich Gannon, the rest of our CBS crew. Not sure Pittsburgh anticipated this. Tied at 17 with Kansas City. Steelers driving, handoff to Willie Parker, and he is stuffed. Give him a gain of 2.5 or 3, depending on the spot. Pittsburgh miscues, we've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah, it didn't start well. Obviously, they give up the big kickoff return. That's not how you want to begin a game. And, of course, Mike Wallace, the rookie, makes the great catch but doesn't take care of the ball on the boundary. And, of course, the interceptions, particularly the second one here, which led to the Kansas City field goal. And they have not been able to put this football team away. Kansas City continues to battle and hang in there.
3 turnovers. It's led to 10 Kansas City points. Roethlisberger, pocket collapsing. How does he get away? Roethlisberger throws it out of bounds. Corey Mays applying heat with DeMario Williams.
I'll tell you what, this guy is amazing, Ben Roethlisberger. You know, this Kansas City defense, they've struggled getting pressure on the quarterback. They've had just 12 sacks this season. That's the second fewest in the National Football League. They're getting there. They just can't bring him down. And that's the problem. He's so strong up top, he just fights right through those arm tackles.
And the training staff has come out to take a look at Max Starks, who is slumped over in pain. Roethlisberger was a little slow to get up. They've already lost Chris Kemoyatu on the left side of that line. We'll take a break. Max Starks was able to walk off the field on his own power. Medical staff is still taking a look. So the changes now. Trey Essex, normally the starting right guard, will move over to left tackle. Ramon Foster is in for Kemoyatu. And Doug Legursky, in his first year for Marshall, is in at right guard for Pittsburgh. They face a 3rd and 7 in a tie game. We're just underway here in the fourth. Mewelde Moore has checked in for Pittsburgh. He's been a go-to guy on 3rd downs. Here comes the blitz. Roethlisberger steps up. Roethlisberger. He'll be contained short of the first down at the 47-yard line. Derek Johnson involved for Kansas City. It's a 4-yard gain for Pittsburgh.
Well, they're going to bring the blitz. They bring the free safety, Mike Brown. And, well, I tell you, they've had a number of times they've had their hands on Ben Roethlisberger, but he just continues. He's slippery. He just continues to find a way to slip out and avoid that rush.
Daniel Sepulveda punting to Bobby Wade at the 10-yard line. End over end. Wade will let this one bounce, and it takes a Pittsburgh roll a little too far for their liking. But it will be down inside the 15, and that's where Matt Castle and the Chiefs offense will have to start from after the 33-yard punt. We are all tied up 17 apiece in KC. Kansas City Chiefs open the season 0-5, 2-2 in their last 4. Those wins have come over Washington and Oakland. Castle over the middle, and it's dropped. Leonard Pope, who had a touchdown earlier. James Farrier over there defensively.
Well, it's a big target for Matt Castle. Leonard Pope, he's 6'8", 6'8", and he's 264 pounds. And you've got to learn to catch the ball away from your body with your hands extended. It's almost like a big forward in basketball. You just have to post up on those linebackers and use those long arms and that leverage to your advantage.
Haley had him in Arizona and was glad to add him to this roster. Charles. With a juke move by Charles and a flag down as he crosses the 20-yard line.
This is what they need. This offense needs a healthy dose of some production in the running game. It's really held them back all season. And you think about this football team in past years. You go back to Priest Holmes and Larry Johnson when he was
Personal
running well.
Foul, face mask, number 23, defense. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
Now that's Tyrone Carter, who has the task of replacing Troy Polamalu today. And Carter is still looking for an explanation.
Yeah, that guy, he just gives you so much flexibility, Troy Polamalu. He can play at every level of the defense. Very disruptive in the running game, great in the coverage scheme, great range as a free safety. But boy, you got to keep an eye on him as a blitzer when he's healthy.
Handoff into Charles and brought down just across the 40-yard line by Ryan Clark. It's a 5-yard gain. Coming up tomorrow on CBS, kick off Thanksgiving week with a brand new episode of TV's #1 comedy. Charlie Sheen and Emmy winner John Cryer star in 2.5 Men. All new Thanksgiving Monday only on CBS. In the 3 full games where Mike Tomlin has had Troy Polamalu, Steelers have forced 8 turnovers. The other 6 combined, they've forced only 4. Today, 0. Charles brought down. He was not going to break free of Brett Kiesel, the dependable defensive end, veteran from BYU. Well, it's a loss of 3.
Brett Kiesel has played very well for this football team and taken over for Aaron Smith. 3 sacks the last 3 weeks. He's been strong against the run. Big reason why they lead the league in run defense is the job that Brett Kiesel does from that right end position.
Now Deshae Townsend comes on as a nickel back. Lance Long is in as an extra receiver for Kansas City. And this is a 3rd and 9.
Look at all the movement before the snap. They give you so much to prepare for. You're never quite sure where the pressure is coming from.
Castle, it's coming from up the middle. And Castle is sacked. He loses the football. James Harrison has got it. Timmons knocked it free. And there's the turnover that Pittsburgh was looking for.
You know, they only bring 4 rushers there. They make it appear as if more rushers are coming. And they really give you some confusing looks. So much changes right before the snap. You're going to watch it. Look at all the movement, but they're only bringing 4 rushers. And right here, Castle's confused. You see right here the strip from Timmons. Nice job. He gets it out on the ground. And right there, James Harrison's there for the easy pickup.
Well, the odds are stacked against you when you go against this Pittsburgh defense. At some point, they're going to make a big play, and it comes here in the 4th quarter. Max Starks returns for Pittsburgh on the left side of the line. On a 1st and 10 from the 27 of Kansas City. Quick throw, it's Antonio Holmes. And he's angled to the outside by Brandon Carr, a 7-yard gain. Big difference, Matt Castle just succumbed to the pressure. Roethlisberger has avoided it.
Well, his ability to extend the play by moving around the pocket is a major concern for this football team coming in. But boy, they've had their hands on him. They have not been able to bring him down. Very elusive in the pocket, as I said before, for a guy as big as he is. He has great awareness and great quickness in the pocket.
He has not been sacked here today. 2nd and 3 now for Pittsburgh. Handoff. Mendenhall tries a spin move. Corey Mays, first man there. Then Tyson Jackson finishes him off. It's a gain of 2 on forward progress.
And I'll tell you, the Chiefs defenders are going to be sick to their stomach when they watch this film tomorrow. They've had chances. They've gotten the pressures have gotten home, but they have not been able to get Ben Roethlisberger on the ground. And that's where a lot of the big plays in the passing game have come when he's gotten a chance to get out on the edge and really hurt this Chiefs secondary.
Big play here on a 3rd and 1 for Pittsburgh. Inside the Kansas City 20. Running play. Mendenhall up the middle. And a first down. Rashard Mendenhall, good block from Willie Colon to help spring him loose for a gain of 9.
Well, you're going to see Rashard Mendenhall. He comes right up the middle. He doesn't need a big crease, but boy, I tell you, he hits it so fast and with power, and he gets right into that secondary. You can't miss tackles in the hole. We've seen a number of times today, Corey Mays and Demario Williams, those inside linebackers in this Chiefs 3-4 defense, be in position to make a play but not be able to get Mendenhall to the ground. 1st and goal from the 9. Steelers trying to regain the lead. Mendenhall in the backfield. Motion man is Wallace. Running play. Mendenhall. And cut down low by Glenn Dorsey. Give him a gain of 1.5 yards on the play. Well, as a defense, after your offense turns the ball over in your own end, all you can think about is going out and getting a stop and forcing this Pittsburgh offense to have to settle for a field goal. That would be a huge win in this situation. Give your offense a chance to get back up out on that field and make amends for the earlier mistake.
2nd and goal for Pittsburgh. Shotgun formation, Roethlisberger. Tied at 17. Roethlisberger throwing. Touchdown! Right over the middle. Rashard Mendenhall puts the Steelers in front. Pittsburgh cashes in off the turnover.
Boy, this is amazing. It's amazing how wide open Rashard Mendenhall is coming across the middle of the field right there. As linebackers, you have to jam him and disrupt him. You can't give him a free release out of the backfield. Not a good enough job by that linebacking core, not getting their hands on him at or around the line of scrimmage.
Rashard Mendenhall, first career touchdown reception, as Jeff Reed adds the extra point. Steelers 24, the Chiefs 17. Ben Roethlisberger, 3 touchdowns on the day, 350 yards through the air. 5-play, 27-yard drive. Mendenhall with his first career touchdown reception. Steelers lead at 24-17. Lance Long, his first career kickoff return for Kansas City. And Long is bottled up short of the 25, a penalty marker on the play. 8:29 remaining in this 4th quarter. 7 penalties today against Pittsburgh. 1 called against Kansas City.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 45 of the return team. That penalty will be marked at the distance to the goal. First down.
And that works against Leonard Pope. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Yeah, keep an eye on Derek Johnson, the linebacker. What they're going to do here, all they're going to do is run a little angle route, but watch him in his drop. This is poor technique. He's actually going to drop right into the lap of the free safety, Mike Brown. You're right there in the goal line. You have to be firmer in your technique. You can see right there the frustration from Mike Brown. Not good technique by the linebacker. You can't give a player like Rashard Mendenhall that much room in that part of the field.
1st and 10 from the 9-yard line for Kansas City, now in a 7-point hole with 8:29 to play. Charles in the backfield with Cox. Castle to throw it. Protection holds up, and Castle slings incomplete. Mike Cox, the fullback, the intended receiver. Lawrence Timmons over there defensively, making a dive for the football.
You know, it's amazing when you see you just look at Matt Castle, the frustration there. That not a lot of room. You know, you watch the route distribution, and every time you see a red jersey, right next to it is a white jersey. You're not seeing a lot of separation in terms of the passing game with these receivers in Kansas City.
He played Pittsburgh last year with New England. He threw 2 picks, was limited to 169 yards, no touchdowns. Empty backfield, and a quick play as they try to get Chambers involved on the perimeter, and the Steelers would have none of it.
Well, they haven't had a lot of luck running up inside against this defense. They're doing everything they can to kick the ball wide on the perimeter.
NFL Today update. Let's head to New York right now and check in once again with JB.
Ian and Rich, nip and tuck battle. Baltimore and Indianapolis. Take a look at the Colts defense. First and goal for Baltimore. 3 consecutive stops or runs by Indy's defense. Stout D getting the job done, limiting Baltimore to a field goal. Ravens nursing a 1-point lead. 7:35 left in regulation. Ian and Rich.
Tight one in Baltimore. Indianapolis trying to remain undefeated. And close game here in Kansas City. Pittsburgh in front 24-17. And a timeout taken. Kansas City still has 2 remaining. It stops the clock with 7:37 to go. And the Steelers up 7. You know you're a dedicated fan when you wear shoulder pads to the game. That's taking it to the next level.
You might need them out in the parking lot afterwards with some of this Kansas City crowd.
What are you insinuating? Yeah.
You're going to get after him.
Shotgun formation. Castle throwing. In stride. Big gainer to Long. Out across the 40-yard line. 30-yard hookup. Castle to Long.
What a great throw by Matt Castle. The protection gets it started. But, Ian, it's amazing. You think Lance Long, he made his first career start here last week. He was in Arizona in week 1. They bring in guys off the street, and they wound up making big plays in the game.
Lance Long out of Mississippi State, transferred from the University of Toledo off the Arizona practice squad, now a member of the Chiefs.
Double move, they got him.
Castle, separation, Chambers has got it inside the 15. He had to wait a long time for that football, or he would have had a guaranteed touchdown, and Chambers is slow to get up. 46 yards.
Boy, they do a nice job with the double move. You're going to see him. He's going to start upfield, and he's actually going to run into the post route. Right there, he's going to start heading back in here, then he's going to work right back up the field. He gets the safety to bite. Ryan Clark, aggressive, eyes in the backfield. But, boy, nice job. You can see the pain Chris Chambers is in. Nice job, though. Good route, good patience by the veteran.
76 yards on their last 2 plays. Clark landed on top of Chambers as he waited for the football.
Boy, 2 big plays by Matt Castle to kind of keep that thing going. The big 3rd down throw to Lance Long. They come right back on the very next down on 1st down, and they take a shot. Nice job by Todd Haley with the play calling going after the secondary. I think he just landed on it funny. He might have landed on the football. But the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah, they've just got him up right now, and
it's amazing. You bring in a guy like Chris Chambers 3 weeks ago. You bring in Lance Long. These guys are becoming your dominant players in this offense. Well, you had to wait for a little bit. A better throw there probably gets it done. But watch when he comes down.
Yep.
That hurts. I don't know if it's his shoulder or he just got the wind knocked out of him, but boy, they need to get Chris Chambers back on the field.
Chambers, formerly with Miami and San Diego, went to the Pro Bowl in 2005. He's a respected veteran, and with the situation surrounding Dwayne Bowe, the 4-game suspension, Chris Chambers moves to the top of the food chain for Kansas City among wide receivers.
Well, this Kansas City offensive line has done a much better job here in the second half in terms of the pass protection.
And some trickery. Bobby Wade on the end around. Wade able to move forward towards the 5-yard line, and James Harrison with the stick. It's an 8-yard pickup.
Boy, when you can't run the ball up inside, you have to find creative ways to get the ball on the edge and on the perimeter. Nice job with the play fake, but Bobby Wade, boy, you thought he might score there, but you see those corners and safeties. They do a nice job at the end driving and finishing this play for a minimal gain.
Wade with his 3rd carry of the season, and Chris Chambers is back on the field for Kansas City. On a 2nd and 2 now for the Chiefs. Under 6 minutes to go. Pittsburgh leading it 24-17. Castle throwing, and too high for Mark Bradley, out of the end zone, incomplete.
Then he just threw that one away, and it's a good job there by Matt Castle, not taking a sack. Didn't have time to sit in there and go through his progressions.
So Todd Haley, the head coach, also calls the plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they face a 3rd and 2. Castle, handoff. Charles able to lean forward and get the first down.
Boy, what a great effort by Brett Kiesel, though. I mean, Jamal Charles is very quick when he gets out on the edge, but look at this effort by Brett Kiesel. You'll see him right there, right in the middle of your screen. Look at him reach out there with one arm and make that tackle. They still pick up the first down, but boy, Brett Kiesel saves the touchdown.
New set of downs for Kansas City to work with. First and goal from the 2. Charles with 48 yards on the ground.
Remember, we talked about the Chiefs really struggle in these short yardage and goal line situations. They don't have that big 235-pound back.
Bootleg, Castle, a foot, touchdown! Jamal Charles! Kansas City is an extra point away from tying this one up.
I'll tell you what, Todd Haley has done a nice job with his play selection. They know their strengths and they know what their limitations are. They don't have that big back, but they find creative ways to do it. They fake the ball up inside. All he does is flip it to Jamal Charles on a little under route. Boy, good design, good execution by this Kansas City offense.
Castle, 12 of 24, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Suckup on for the extra point. And we are even. 24 apiece with 4:54 to play in the 4th. Jamal Charles, a receiving touchdown for the Texas product. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a dogfight. Don't forget, coming up, the Jets take on Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. The Chargers tangle with the Broncos, or the Bengals battle the Raiders. It's all coming up on CBS.
Boy, you just got a sense when you're around the Chiefs practice facility on Friday. We were there again yesterday. That this was a team that was different than the team we saw in the beginning part of the season. You know, Ian, this is a team that really got off to a horrible start, but they're 2-2 in their last 4 games. They're getting some confidence. They're starting to feel good about themselves. The system's starting to make sense, and I just knew that they were not going to be an easy out today for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Arrowhead Stadium, a little bit of life inside this facility. The Chiefs are 0-4 at home. They were 0-6 back in 1976 when they won their last home game of the season. That was a 14-game season. So this is the worst start at home since the 1976 season.
And I played here 4 years. We always talked about the Arrowhead advantage. I mean, you know, they've yet to win here at home, but as you said, this used to be the toughest place to win on the road. And you know, there's a lot of Steelers fans here today, but I'll tell you what, the Chiefs fans that are here have stepped up and really helped this football team here in the 4th quarter.
Ryan Suckup kicking off. Stephon Logan is the return man for Pittsburgh. Logan looking for an opening. And the hole closed up in a hurry, short of the 30-yard line, and that's where Pittsburgh will open up after the 29-yard return.
Tackled by Terrence Cooper.
Well, this guy right here has been a killer today for this Kansas City defense. You're going to have to find a way to disrupt him a little bit. They've not gotten him to the ground. What you got to do, not only do the pressures have to get there, but try and get the ball out of his hands. You're not going to sack him. You're not going to be able to get him on the ground. Try and strip the ball from him. They talked about tackling the football all week. They've not been able to do that so far here today.
They've got 4:45 to work with. Steelers and Chiefs tied at 24 here at Arrowhead. Roethlisberger on a 1st and 10. And a quick strike to Heath Miller. And Miller spun down just across the 35 by DeMario Williams for Kansas City. 7-yard gain.
You know, as you look at this offensive huddle and all the different changes that they've had along the offensive line, you know, we actually see Max Starks back in there, but this is a group that, you know, we talked with Mike Tomlin last night. They don't let injuries become a distraction. They just plug in other players, they step up, and they continue to keep things going on both sides of the ball.
Chris Kemoyatu is out with a knee injury on the left side of that Pittsburgh line. Ramon Foster, rookie out of Tennessee, has stepped in for him. Roethlisberger slings it over the middle, and it will be a first down for Miller. A good chemistry between Roethlisberger and Miller. Miller having his best season as a receiver, now in his 5th year in the NFL out of Virginia.
You see all the substitutions coming on and off the field for Kansas City. They're just trying to match up. They're trying to get some fresh bodies in there to continue to rush the passer. Try and disrupt Ben Roethlisberger.
Roethlisberger is inching closer to a 400-yard passing day. On a 1st and 10, just short of the 42-yard line. Mendenhall in the backfield.
Well, here it comes right now off the edge.
And Mendenhall spins his way to the 45. With all the pressure that was coming, you thought that Mendenhall might be able to sidestep it and shoot through the gap for a big gain. It turns out to be a 3-yard pickup. Tamba Hali with the tackle.
Well, there was a hole there, but it closed rather quickly. And as you said, Ian, Rashard Mendenhall was trying to wind that one back and find that vacated opening. But boy, the Chiefs did a nice job securing that gap.
On a 2nd and 7 now for Pittsburgh. Line of scrimmage is the 45. Tied up at 24 apiece, under 3 minutes to play. Roethlisberger, short drop, and knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Tyson Jackson.
Boy, nice job by Tyson Jackson. You know, they're not getting the pressures, aren't getting home to Ben. The next best thing as a defensive lineman is if you can just get your hand up, read the quarterback's eyes and his launch point, and try and bat that one down.
Well, Jeff Reed is hoping for an opportunity here for Pittsburgh. Right now, they face a 3rd and 7 with 2:44 to play. Fans are on their feet here in KC.
Boy, critical 3rd down for both teams, obviously.
Roethlisberger out of the gun.
And Kansas City's going to bring pressure.
Here it comes. Roethlisberger. He is sacked.
Boy, it takes 4 guys to bring him down.
Mike Brown, first man there, and the first sack of the day for this Kansas City defense.
Boy, and it couldn't have come at a better time. You talk about trying to get the pressure home with the front 4, the front 3. They have to bring 5 and 6 to get it done. Mike Brown, he comes in clean. He does a nice job just holding on for dear life until some of his buddies, like Tamba Hali, can get there to bring down Big Ben.
2:28 and counting left in the 4th. Sepulveda punting. And Bobby Wade lets it bounce. It will settle in at the 26-yard line. That's where Kansas City will have it. They've got 2:17 remaining, and they've got 2 timeouts to work with. The Chiefs with an opportunity to pull off a shocking upset against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Boy, Matt Castle and this offense, they really struggled to find their way in the first half, but in the second half, particularly late here in the 4th quarter, they've really got on track. A couple of those big throws in that last drive seem to get them going. The offensive line has settled down. They seem like they're handling some of these protection issues a lot better here in the second half.
Kansas City opened the season 0-5. 2-2 in their last 4 games. Castle steps. Castle in some trouble, throws it down the sideline, and it's incomplete. Flag comes down. Jamal Charles in a matchup with Lamar Woodley. Discussion taking place along that sideline. And Carl Cheffers now comes over to get the information.
I think Jamal Charles was out of bounds.
Boy, it looked like he was straddling that sideline as he was trying to work his way along the perimeter.
Actually, Kansas City, nice play call to play action. It was only a 2-man route. Matt Castle had nowhere to go for it. The last minute, he tried to throw one up the sidelines to Jamal Charles.
2:09 to play. Here's Cheffers.
There is no foul for an illegal touch of the pass. The receiver went out of bounds and only established back with 1 foot. Therefore, when he touches the pass, it is incomplete. 2nd down.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 now for Kansas City.
Yeah, see, he's clearly out of bounds. He tries to come back in, doesn't reestablish himself, but yeah, he never even gets either foot back in bounds, so it's really a moot point.
So the Chiefs now with a 2nd and 10 at the 26-yard line. Fans here with a chance to catch their breath. And Castle will now work out of the shotgun. Empty backfield with 2:09 to go. Castle, quick throw over the middle. He's got Lance Long. Slides his way for an extra yard, picks up 7 overall, and we will hit the 2-minute warning in this 4th quarter. Kansas City will face a 3rd and 3 when we come back. The Steelers and the Chiefs all knotted up. Well, Todd Haley's dad, Dick Haley, longtime personnel man with the Pittsburgh Steelers, has told Todd, hey, this is only the beginning. Stay the course. Don't waver in your belief. That was part of the philosophy of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Haley and the Chiefs are looking for a breakthrough win in his first year as a head coach. Could it come today?
He's been a tremendous resource for his son.
24 apiece. Big 3rd down. And it's incomplete. Mark Bradley had it. Broken up by Ryan Clark at the last moment, and the Kansas City Chiefs will punt it.
Just keep an eye on Mark Bradley as he comes out. Matt Castle gets this one out nice and early. Mark Bradley just a little late with his eyes, and the ball actually hits him right on the back hip. Boy, you talk about inches, a matter of inches, not converting in that situation. Now you give the Pittsburgh Steelers a chance to finish this game off.
And the deep man is Mowelde Moore for Pittsburgh. Colquitt punting. Oh, Steelers went for the block and nearly had it. But sails to the 19-yard line, and more fair catches there. 48-yard punt for Colquitt. And Ben Roethlisberger has 147 to work with his team all tied up with Kansas City at 24 apiece.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben Roethlisberger drives defensive coordinators nuts. Because just when you think you got them right where you want them, you got the pressure, you've done everything you can schematically to get home, boy, he makes the guy miss. And now all of a sudden you have major problems in the secondary.
And Rich, last week, Ben Roethlisberger accepted the blame for the loss. He came out and said, I was not my usual self. Well, here he is a week later with 1:47 to work with and a chance to give his team a victory on the road in Kansas City.
That is a sign of a real winner. He deflects attention away from himself when they played well, and of course, when they don't, he absorbs a lot of the criticism.
From the 20-yard line, Roethlisberger. The pressure is there, and he's brought down. Derek Johnson. Huge defensive play, and the clock is moving 1:34 and counting. Now it stops with 1:35.
I don't know if Derek Johnson ever did any roping, but watch this. He's going to jump right over Mowelde Moore. Look at him hold on for dear life. He's holding both sides of his shoulder pads so that Ben Roethlisberger can't throw the football.
And a flag on the play. Penalty against Kansas City. They placed the football at the 25. We never heard an announcement from Carl Cheffers, but it was called against Wallace Gilberry of the Chiefs. So a 2nd and 15 now for Pittsburgh. Shotgun formation. Roethlisberger throwing and complete to Hines Ward. He curls it upfield for a first down. Travis Daniels over there to make the play. Illegal downfield contact was the call against Kansas City, costing them 5 yards. That's a 13-yard gain. Ali down on the play, and it stops the clock with 1:29 left in this 4th quarter. Target line for Jeff Reed. His long this year is 46, career long of 53. So they still have some work to do with the line of scrimmage now the 38-yard line. Steelers and Chiefs tied at 24.
Well, you see a number of these players. I look like that might be a knee, but this guy's been playing hard all day. Tamba Hali has been on the field most of the day, and takes a lot out of you. Rushing the passer, going up against some of these big offensive tackles, guys like Max Starks and Willie Colon. It's hard to do that for an entire 60 minutes.
19 game-winning drives, 4th quarter and overtime for Ben Roethlisberger. He makes plays on the run. He handles pressure. He's a leader.
I think the big thing with number 7, he's a winner. He's been in a lot of big games, a lot of crunch time situations, and he's always delivered for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers have 2 timeouts remaining.
You know, it's amazing, and you think about it. Ben Roethlisberger was sacked 27 times coming into today's game. He was on pace to exceed 45 sacks for the 4th year in a row. This is part of who they are. I mean, sacks, they overcome them. A lot of other teams, I mean, it's devastating, but Ben makes enough plays in the pocket, in or around the pocket, to really overcome those sacks early in games.
He has 376 yards through the air here today, and he's got 129 left on the clock with the Steelers and Chiefs knotted up at 24. Shotgun formation, Roethlisberger. 1st and 10 from the 38. Here comes the rush. Roethlisberger gets rid of it. Heath Miller is hit, and Miller takes the shot from Brandon Flowers. It's a 5-yard gain.
Well, Clancy Pendergast, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, he's not going to sit around and wait and see what happens. He's continuing to bring pressure on almost every down.
Ali comes back on, replaces Pierre Walters on a 2nd and 5 now for the Steelers. Roethlisberger throwing, and it's incomplete. On a sideline route to Hines Ward. 3rd and 5 for Pittsburgh.
This guy has fun playing the game. Every time you see Hines Ward, he usually has a smile on his face. He loves playing football. He loves being in these situations, as we talked about earlier in the game. When Ben Roethlisberger needs a big play, he usually looks to 86.
Pivotal play on a 3rd and 5. 1:02 left on the clock.
Boy, this place is getting loud right now.
From the 43.
That pressure.
Roethlisberger pumping. Roethlisberger trying to get rid of the football, and Roethlisberger is brought down. Combination of Alex McGee and Gilberry. Kansas City had everybody coming.
Keep an eye on Mike Brown. He goes right by him. Ben Roethlisberger is crazy in the pocket. He does things, he tries things that most quarterbacks wouldn't even think about. Boy, he was very fortunate there to come down with that ball at the end.
So the Steelers have to punt it with Sepulveda. 27 seconds left. And Bobby Wade catches cleanly inside the 20. So Matt Castle will have 24 seconds here to avoid overtime and give his team a victory in regulation, or avoid a big mistake.
Well, I think you got to be smart here. Obviously, 24 seconds. And
Ryan Suckup, he's got a big leg. We saw that on opening day in the NFL against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think the play here with one timeout, you run a draw here. That's my guess.
24 seconds remaining on the game clock.
Or a screen.
And it is a screen to Charles. Charles breaking tackles and spun down out across the 30-yard line by Ryan Clark. 13-yard gain. And a penalty marker thrown.
Number 54, offense. 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Brian Waters called on the hold. "15 seconds left on the clock, and now you've got to go with that conservative philosophy.
Yeah, but now, you know, obviously Pittsburgh's got a couple timeouts, and they'll probably use them in this situation as well. Won't really make a difference, though.
Now they'll take a knee here and just play to overtime, and hope on the coin flip that it goes their way. The Steelers and the Chiefs tied at 24 at the end of regulation. Overtime at Arrowhead. Roethlisberger had a couple of opportunities. They could not sustain drives. And give credit to the Kansas City defense. They were dialing up pressure throughout the day. They just were not cashing in on the sacks until the most important moments of the game, late in the fourth quarter, and they came up with some big ones.
Yeah, you got to really tip your hat to Clancy Pendergast, the defensive coordinator in Kansas City. He didn't back down. They didn't let this offense dictate the tempo of this game. They really cranked things up in the second half, brought more pressures, and some of them got home. And I get the sense right now that Ben Roethlisberger is a little frustrated.
Captains come out. middle of the field.
Gentlemen, we are about to begin an overtime period of up to 15 minutes. The first team that scores wins. If neither team scores, the game will end in a tie. Fourth quarter timing rules are in effect, and you get to call the toss. That's heads and tails. You want tails? The call's tails. It is tails. Pittsburgh has won the toss. They will take the ball.
Pittsburgh 1-0 in overtime. They beat the Titans in the opener. The Chiefs are 0-1. They lost to Dallas. Overtime is next in Kansas City. Steelers and Chiefs tied at 24. Here comes overtime, but first, how did we get here? Look at the game summary. Jamal Charles, kickoff return for a touchdown to put the Chiefs in front. Then Roethlisberger took over the touchdown to Ward. Roethlisberger backs it up with another touchdown to the tight end Miller. Kansas City comes back, though. Touchdown Castle to Pope. Roethlisberger answers with a touchdown to Mendenhall, and then it's Charles with a receiving touchdown to tie this game up. Steelers win the coin toss, and Ryan Suckup will kick it off to Stephon Logan, the deep man for Pittsburgh. Steelers are 6-3. Chiefs are 2-7.
Well, you just got the sense after that opening kickoff return by Jamal Charles that this was not going to be an easy day for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Suckup. It sends Logan deep, and he'll take a knee. Steelers will have it at the 20. Touchback. Ben Roethlisberger on the day, 31 of 41, 381 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hines Ward has 9 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Miller, 7 catches for 95 yards. What's worked today, in your mind, that the Steelers should be focusing in on during this drive in overtime?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, obviously the interceptions have hurt them, but his ability to keep plays alive, Ian, is continuing to cause problems for this defensive secondary. I think running the ball here would be good as well to kind of get Ben back in the rhythm.
And they do run it to Mendenhall, right up the middle. Mendenhall breaks a tackle and keeps on going across the 25. It's a 7-yard gain. Trey Essex with a key block up front.
Yeah, you know, they've run the ball for 95 yards already here today, and a big part of it is obviously Rashard Mendenhall, but Ben Roethlisberger, I just think that the job that he has done today in the pocket, we've made a big deal about it, but I just tell you, it's amazing some of the plays that this guy has made. Kansas City has to continue to find ways to pressure him and bring him down.
Just underway in overtime, a 2nd and 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Roethlisberger to throw it. Looks. Pumps.
Look at all that time.
And fires to Hines Ward. First down, Pittsburgh. Out near the 45-yard line. That's a 17-yard pass play.
Well, you just see there that we talked about these bunch sets. Look at the job that Hines Ward does. Look at him move around, continue to move with Ben, keeping his eyes in the backfield. But when you give a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger this much time in the pocket, boy, he's going to make you pay.
Line of scrimmage is now the 44.
Here comes more pressure. Look at all those men up the line of scrimmage.
Running play. Mendenhall. Up the gut. Just keeps on going. Rashard Mendenhall. Good 2nd and 3rd efforts on that play to spin his way to a 7-yard pickup.
And you mentioned spin his way, Ian. You know, Bruce Arians talked to us last night, the offensive coordinator. His ability, he referred to it as these jump cuts. He's always spinning and twisting and turning at the top of his runs. And great thing about him is not the biggest guy, but boy, he runs with power, and he's always falling forward at the end of runs.
Second half of the doubleheader is coming up, including the Jets in New England, San Diego at Denver, or Cincinnati at Oakland. Overtime here in Kansas City. Steelers and Chiefs tied at 24, and a 2nd and 3 for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger feels the pressure, and Roethlisberger takes a hit into Kansas City territory. Andy Studebaker over there defensively for Kansas City, along with Derek Johnson, and a flag down. Roethlisberger now on his back, a 2-yard gain.
Number 62, offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
And that's the center, Justin Hartwig. And
Right.
Ben Roethlisberger hurt on the play.
I don't know if this is a head injury or not. Watch him at the end of this run. He kind of goes down awkward. He gets a knee. It looks like a knee to the head. Right here at the end. Look at.
Yep.
Wow. You know, here's a guy that has had head injuries in the past, Diane. They're being very careful with him. You can see that training staff out there making sure that he's being taken care of. And you see Charlie Batch over there getting warmed up. Watch right there. Watch his head. Looks like that.
Yeah.
That left knee right there. I don't know if it was Derek.
It was Johnson.
Derek Johnson. Left knee came right to the head of the temple of Ben Roethlisberger.
And Mike Tomlin is also over there with the medical staff. You know, I mentioned it earlier, Rich. 26th consecutive start. And I just thought that number stood out considering how many hits Ben Roethlisberger will take over the course of a game, because he's avoiding pressure, he's making things up on the fly.
Well, you always worry about hits on your quarterback, and you know Ben's big, he's strong, but that right there, that hurts. And we always say that the hits, the hurries, and the sacks, the knockdowns, they begin to take their toll on the quarterback. And even a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, as big and as strong as he is, there are tough hits right there.
Now, nice reaction from this Kansas City crowd as Roethlisberger is now sitting up.
Well, the good news is that you got a guy like Charlie Batch that can step in a moment's notice, a veteran player. You look at his career numbers, this guy, one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. And when he's got his opportunity to play in relief of Ben Roethlisberger, he has played very well.
12th year, Batch, former starter with the Detroit Lions. He was on injured reserve last year.
Chiefs fans, let's hear it for Ben Roethlisberger.
Charlie Batch coming in for the injured Ben Roethlisberger, who was shaken up on the play. Took a knee from Derek Johnson on a scramble out of the pocket.
And you always talk about, as a quarterback, you got to protect your knees, you got to protect your shoulder, and most importantly, you have to protect your head, particularly when you go down like that in piles.
And his head snapped back on that play on contact. So we're in overtime, and Charlie Batch is now called upon to lead this Pittsburgh offense. There was a hold on the play against the center, Justin Hartwig, so they back it up. 2nd and 13 for Pittsburgh. Batch working out of the gun.
We're going to find out about Charlie Batch early.
Batch to throw. And caught by Holmes. Charlie Batch throws a strike. Tight coverage from Brandon Carr.
And that just goes to show you the confidence that Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator, has in the veteran Charlie Batch. 2nd and 14. Come right back out there, throw the deep in route to Santonio Holmes. That's what the veteran Charlie Batch gives you.
As the medical staff continues to work with Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a new set of downs to work with. Batch didn't play in 08. He has not played in 09.
Keep an eye for this screen right over here. They like this quick screen on first down.
They bunch the receivers to one side. Batch flip it to the outside, and it's broken up. John McGraw ranging over against Rashard Mendenhall. That ball didn't get there quick enough. Pittsburgh Steelers one game behind the Cincinnati Bengals, but swept by Cincinnati for the first time since 1998. The Bengals are undefeated in the AFC North. And the Steelers now focusing in on that wild card. They've got competition from either San Diego or Denver, depending upon how things shake out in the AFC West. Houston, Baltimore, and Jacksonville on the periphery as well. 2nd and 10 for the Steelers. Trying to get into field goal range to win this game in overtime. Draw play. Mendenhall stops. Oh, great cut by Mendenhall, and then he gets pushed forward from behind. So Rashard Mendenhall turns that into an 8-yard pickup on the ground.
Watch him, he's going to get right behind his left tackle, Max Starks. Watch him use that block up in front. He cuts right back up inside. This guy runs with great vision, great balance, and he has that second gear. He can really hurt you when he gets on that second level.
Rich, right now the Steelers are looking at a 53-yard field goal attempt if they don't get any more yardage on this drive. This is a 3rd and 2 for Pittsburgh. In overtime, tied with Kansas City at 24 apiece. Motion man is Ward. Batch on a pitch. Mewelde Moore, 3rd down back. Trying to turn the corner. He cannot. Javon Belcher. Tremendous pursuit. And it's a loss of 2 on the play.
Boy, they're going to have to punt it here. Great job by Javon Belcher. You're going to see they run the toss to the right. Nice job tracking this the whole way, running sideline to sideline. Nice job by Javon Belcher.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, with Charlie Batch stepping in for an injured Ben Roethlisberger, is unable to get the necessary yardage to send the field goal unit on. Instead, it's a punt from Sepulveda. Into the end zone, a touchback. 38-yard punt, but a net of 18. 10 minutes to go in overtime. The game summary. Kansas City gets off to a great start with a Charles kickoff return for a touchdown. Steelers come back. Touchdown Roethlisberger to Ward. Roethlisberger again, this time to Miller. Kansas City takes advantage of some Pittsburgh miscues. Castle to Pope for the touchdown. Roethlisberger to Mendenhall through the air, but then Castle the little flip to Charles. Tied at 24. Chiefs take over at the 20. Handoff to Charles. And Jamal Charles handles the contact. And the second effort gives him a 1st down. It's an 11-yard gain for Charles and the Chiefs.
Well, I tell you what, Jamal Charles has done a nice job today. He's taken a number of hits to the face. You watch this right here, but he's kept his balance and he's done a nice job finishing runs. Well, he's not the biggest back, Ian, but he's got a huge heart. And he has run very hard here today.
So now Ryan Suckup hoping for the opportunity. A career long of 53, a collegiate long at South Carolina of 55. Castle throwing and able to get his tight end Leonard Pope involved for a 4-yard gain.
I've really been impressed with the job that Matt Castle has done today. It's not been easy. He's not surrounded by a ton of talent, but as we know, he's been tested every week. The thing I think that's impressed me the most is his ability to hang in there. We're finding out about his physical and mental toughness, and so far today, he's done a very nice job under some difficult circumstances.
14 of 28, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. Castle throwing, deep ball, one-on-one, and it's intercepted! Ike Taylor then lost the ball. It'll be ruled down. A juggle. Incomplete.
Well, 2 things there. I think Matt Castle could have helped himself by using more of the field and putting less air on it. The other thing is Chris Chambers does not do a good job here timing his jump. He goes up a little bit early. You can see right there Ike Taylor clearly outjumps him in that situation. Boy, the Chiefs had a chance for a big one there. They just can't connect.
And very fortunate that they didn't turn it over. Taylor couldn't secure the football on landing. Castle from the gun. Guns it over the middle. And Chambers turns it upfield. Chambers down the sideline. Chris Chambers out of bounds inside the 5. The Kansas City Chiefs closing in on a shocker.
Boy, I tell you what, nice job. You're going to see Chris Chambers. He's going to come all the way across the formation. Great throw by Matt Castle, and then Chris Chambers just does the rest. You know, you think about they had a chance on the earlier play. They come right back to Chris Chambers.
61 yards. And timeout taken with the ball spotted at the 4. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-3. Disappointing loss last week to Cincinnati. Who would have thought the carryover would take place here in Kansas City?
And you really think about it, what the Chiefs have done today with a number of players that have not started here, have not started the season here in Kansas City. You think about the contributions from Lance Long and Tim Castillo, and certainly Chris Chambers today, Leonard Pope. Guys that they've picked up and added to this roster during the course of the season that have really come in today and made major contributions.
Field goal unit is on. Ryan Suckup. a chip shot for the win. 22-yard attempt here in overtime.
Boy, what a shocker. Unbelievable.
From 22 yards away, Suckup. He's got it. The Kansas City Chiefs pull off a huge upset. They knock off the Steelers in overtime, 27-24.
Well, you know, it's amazing. You think about the job that Todd Haley and Scott Pioli have done with this ball club. They're changing the culture and the environment in Kansas City. They're learning how to win. They're learning how to finish games under that guy right there, Todd Haley.
Kansas City 27, Pittsburgh 24. That's your final in overtime. The Chiefs win back-to-back games for the first time since October of 2007. For Rich Gannon and our entire crew, this is Ian Eagle. So long from Kansas City. Chiefs win it in OT over the defending champions.